streaming. It's a little weird having headphones in headphones.
Yeah.
I'm wearing the wired headphones in my ear and my normal recording headphones over the top of that.
And the stream is live.
Sweet.
Excellent.
Let's give it a few minutes for anyone who wants to. Oh, and I should tweet it.
Yeah, you probably should. That might be a good idea. I tweeted it from my account.
Oh, hey, notifications are on time today. They were like, you've just started.
Yeah. Yeah, I just got mine as well. I usually get it like 10 minutes in. I love that thumbnail.
The premiere one was useless. It was once he'd finished it, it was like the premiere is about to begin. I was like,
Tweet. It's still the old cached Twitter thumbnail on my screen. Hello, everyone. People in the stream, welcome, welcome. We'll get started in just a minute here. I'm going to have some coffee.
I just had coffee. I shouldn't have any more.
This is good.
Do you
coffee.
Irish up your coffee?
I Irished up my coffee.
Oh, this is going to be fun in like an hour, being the only sober one.
Do we want? We should have the rules on screen, right? Do we?
Hello, John. How are you, sir?
And before anyone suggests it, no, we're not going to do a drink per person getting punched. That's not.
I wanted to destroy something beautiful.
You would be my beautiful, Jack.
Thanks. So you'd smash my face in?
It's like, yeah, no, the context.
I mean, I'm still not much of a PC guy.
I am kind of beautiful.
Are you? You're extremely beautiful. Okay.
We're streaming. Shut up, Jack. Stop talking.
All right. So rules. I'm just going to use OneNote. Every part of my monitor is in some way chopped up and going to be in this stream itself. Foreshadowing was one that we had talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you mean like a scene where it's like a double meaning and you're like, oh?
Yeah, hints at the twist.
Yeah, there's lots of like, for example, when they get on the bus, Tyler doesn't pay. So stuff like that could work.
Yeah. So foreshadowing.
This is kind of what I mean about how well it's made. I'll shut up, sorry.
No. That's okay. We could just do two. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are watching Fight Club this evening. We'll do intros in just 1 second. Foreshadowing. Let's do like two more. Anyone have rules for Fight Club? Go ahead and throw them out in chat.
You got the Buffy one of you?
Oh, yeah. Buffy tangents.
Or Angel, obviously.
Buffy versus tangents.
That's going to happen. We know it.
And Greendale Witch, it is 8:15 here.
God, we could watch reruns of Hogan's Heroes and relate it to Buffy.
Yeah. It's like a superpower. One that I've honed over many years.
And can now monetize. Excellent.
One more. So, just fights in general, sweaty people.
Fights in general. I don't know if that's a good one.
We could do a drink per fight, as in
drink per fight. Yeah, that could work.
And how about
I don't really care because I've got water, so I can drink as much as I want.
And how about Robert Paulson?
Okay, yep. His name is Robert Paulson.
Wait, so every time the name is said, or every time he's on screen?
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, donation, Jam Wild. Thank you so much, sir. Cheers.
Oh yeah, drink for donation.
Drink for donations, of course.
I guess that's one to start then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Thank you, Greendale. Thanks for stopping in. And donations. Okay, so now I need to add this to the shot. somehow. Give me just a moment.
But yes, from memory, especially from when I last watched it, there's never a time where both of them are in the same scene where both of them commit to an action that would either change the environment or affect a person. As in, whenever one of them does a thing that'll affect the environment or a person, that's the one person.
Also, I think when they're both on screen, you never see someone talk directly to Tyler, I think.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to show my whole display for just a second, making sure my banking info is not on screen.
Oh,
yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Doesn't appear to be. Yeah, we need to do these more often, so we'll get a little better at it. All right, the stream's gonna look very strange for just a second. I apologize. Bear with me. There we go. And bring that up a little bit. Wow. Drinking on a Sunday. We did it, boys. Pandian. Not staying, wanted to say hi, make you all drink. What's in the mug? Coffee.
With a dash of...
With a twist of happiness.
I have a bottle of water.
Cal, what are you drinking?
Bailey's plus vodka.
Oh.
Wow, that's interesting.
It actually, I quite like it, and it just makes the Bailey's stronger. That's the main interest, because I like the taste of Bailey's. But I unfortunately associate it with Wrinkle in Time, because that's when I first had it. So when I drink it, it makes me think of A Wrinkle in Time, which is so strange.
The new movie?
Yeah. The one with space opera.
Bailey's makes me think of my mother. So do with that what you will.
I mean, I just love Bailey's.
Carlo Rossi makes me think of mine. So
okay,
do with that what you will. So quick intros. We are doing the Mediocre Decision streams. These are pretty informal. It's mostly just an opportunity for Cal, Jack, and I to have a couple of drinks, watch some movies, and hang out with you guys. Cal, you may know as Moeller from his review channel on YouTube, Moeller. And Jack,
just wait for you to be like,
not
big fan of Star
Mallow.
Wars.
You know, the Star Wars guy. And Jack, you know as Jack.
Hi, I'm Jack.
And I'm the Buffy guy. All right, intro.
And I'm just the guy.
But Boris asked if we my thoughts on Sanctuary. We've already had many hours of discussion on it, I'm afraid, but they were offline.
Yeah.
I'm the producer guy. You can call me the producer guy.
Yes, Jack is the producer guy. And
hi,
editor
Trillium.
guy.
Hi, Anna. And editor.
And social media guy. You're really Jack of all trades. I'll drink for that.
Oh! Very nice. Very nice.
No, don't encourage me, Jack, please.
I was being sarcastic, like really sarcastic. I love you, though.
Thank you. I love you, too. So we're going to try and do these a little bit more often because the three of us enjoy sitting around watching stuff and talking about it. And the way we've decided to do it is through rotation. So Jack got first pick this time, and he picked Fight Club.
Yes, I did.
Which is how we landed on this one. Jack, can you tell us a little bit about the movie and your motivations for picking?
Well, it's a pretty old film. Came out in 1991, obviously starring Brad Pitt and Edward Norton. Directed by David Fincher.
It was
I love it. That's what I said, didn't I?
I thought you said 1991. I was like, it's not that old, is it?
No, I thought I said 99. I meant to say 99.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, in terms of filmmaking, I think it's very intelligently written and shot. Philosophically, I think it's got some good stuff to say about mental illness, depression, and stuff like that. And Tyler Durden does essentially end up being the villain of the film, And I don't think he's someone you should aspire to necessarily be, but I think he still has some good stuff to say.
Yeah, so one of the modern or the contemporary criticisms of the movie is that people hold him up as
Awesome.
See, it's sort of the Tony Montana problem.
Yeah.
Where with Scarface, everyone there's tons of celebrities with Scarface posters on their wall and with the big mountain of cocaine at the end, but you're not supposed to watch the movie and think that that's how you want your life to go.
Yeah.
Well, I would just be curious what the actual concern is. Do they think it's encouraging it, or is that on the viewer? In the same way that Doom is encouraging people to kill people.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
I mean, like I said, like he's certainly the villain, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have some good stuff to say.
Yeah. Well, if you'd like to keep in sync with us, the version of the movie we're working from is 2 hours and 19 seconds long. Sorry, 2 hours and 19 minutes long.
And 8 seconds.
And
apparently, I did say 1991. I didn't mean to.
No, it's all good. So, I'm going to go ahead and back up to the beginning here. And are you guys ready?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1, go.
What's neat as well is, I don't know about you guys, but I've got subtitles on mine so I can actually keep track while talking over it,
Yeah, I actually need to turn down the volume a little bit in my headphones. There we go.
So yes, 20th Century Fox, that is a news corporation company. It was established in...
the 20th
I haven't got
century.
Google up, so... Can't confirm, but I'm pretty sure it was the 20th century.
I didn't realize that the Batman logo was going to get partially green screened. Oh yeah, the Dust Brothers soundtrack. Yeah,
this is the opening. This opening is about the soap, right? Is it or
the it looks like brain to me.
Yeah, the camera is panning around inside his head and it's going to come out his pores.
Ah.
Oh, I didn't realize this is a Fox. This is a Fox property.
Oh, good old Fox.
Yay!
Sorry, that's my bad.
Does that count as a reference to?
Wait.
No.
No.
Does that mean Disney is going to own Fight Club?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Tyler Durden's a Disney princess.
It's kind of a one-off film. I mean, so Jack, you said the author, Polaniak?
Yeah.
Said it was about toxic masculinity?
Well, that's just what I've heard. I haven't heard him say it himself, but I've heard a lot of people say that on the internet. And look, I think that's certainly an element of it, but I think it's more about mental illness and what it can do to someone. Yeah.
Raven says, my fiance says drink every time someone mentions Fight Club. Oh, someone breaks the rules.
That's a good one.
So if one of us say the words?
The first rule of is you don't talk about
All right, well, we're going to have to keep track of each other with that one. What if you say one of the two words?
Club, like you like to go clubbing? And sometimes
there's a club where you fight.
The CG still holds up.
I think it does, yeah.
1999.
You just got to be quick and careful so that you don't, I think you have to keep in mind, no matter where you are in history, you'd be like, this is going to age when it's CGI, obviously, because this doesn't age. This is literally just a shot of a guy. This will look the same now and 100 years later, sort of thing.
Right. That kind of looks like a backdrop, though. Marla Singer.
Robert Paulson. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. I'll drink my water.
Jeez, I forgot that was a thing. I hope you guys will keep track with the rules.
Yeah, I'm working on it. And Boris is here.
Yeah.
We're still men. Yes, we are.
Yeah, see, so yeah, this stuff is definitely about male identity and whatnot, but I just think there's more to the movie than just that. And
I'm curious what the fundamental criticism is exactly.
well, so far every YouTube review I've seen hyper fixates on toxic masculinity and whatnot, and I think there's so much more to it than that.
Well, I think that you can believe foreshadowing in 3, 2.
Yeah, he
There it
flashes here, doesn't?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I saw this in the theater the first weekend and had no idea what it was about.
I don't remember the first time I saw it.
And
I got
every
recommended it and watched it.
every one of those flashes, I was like, did they screw up the editing?
I wonder, like, if anyone actually saw the twist coming, because I know I didn't.
I did not.
A friend, the friend I showed it did, but I'm not convinced he was entirely unbiased because I mean he's been alive for like 24 years.
Okay,
Like how do you? I feel like you're aware. That's why I wanted to see it. I was like, hopefully the twist actually gets. I was like, oh shit, I should have.
It's kind of like Bruce Willis being a ghost. Like everyone knows,
What?
even if you haven't seen it. Oh, sorry, spoilers.
It's been a while since I've seen Die Hard.
Oh.
The other thing too,
Yeah, I didn't get that spoiled. I watched Sixth Sense completely undestroyed. That shit blew me away.
I saw it when it first came out. Again, I don't think it was at the cinema, but yeah, I didn't know.
So I think the question might be, Tyler says enough things that are true.
And inspiring, like a good way to live your life.
Except for the punching each other in the face parts of the movie.
And also,
it takes principles to the extreme.
Yeah, extreme. He takes it to the extreme with like Project Mayhem and all that.
So is the movie endorsing his perspective? Or not?
I don't think so, because by the end, he certainly is the villain.
This is one of those films that I think is like, what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I don't think it's wrong for young men to look up to Tyler in some way.
Foreshadowing. Cheers.
Because like I've said, he does have some good stuff to say, but you obviously don't want to go to the extreme that he does.
Well, the other thing too is that the climax of the movie is him removing Tyler Durden from his personality, which is a statement about whether or not he's supposed to be celebrated, I think.
Yeah.
Also, not to mention that he spends the film panicking that Tyler's ruined his life. Like, a large portion of the film.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think this is the thing. I find it complex, and it would be about the references I suppose they bring up.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna say there's nothing toxic about the extremes of what males can do, of course. But
of course not.
Oh, that's the girl's dad in Terminator 3. I don't know what else he's in.
Terminator 3. Oh God, can we not talk about that?
I actually
we can talk about 3. Let's just not talk about.
We've got to reference anything, but BUFV. Yeah, so yeah, we'll stick with Terminator 3 if we have to.
Oh, foreshadowing.
That was another one.
Yeah,
and I'm already through my first drink. This is going to be a problem.
Do you think that what they're trying to get across there is that he's starting to turn, like a
I
think is about to come in?
I think
I
Tyler
think
is
it's just
emerging
saying
from
that
him.
Tyler's exactly
like it's flickering and then it's going to come in full.
It's like a switch.
Yeah, the other thing too is like I'm someone who's very pro therapy and
Me too.
pro mental health, and the movie opens with him going to therapy, group therapies, and then shits on it.
Yeah, he's more doing it because obviously he doesn't have cancer.
Yeah,
or
that's
anything.
true. That's true.
He's doing it for some sort of catharsis or something.
Oh, we didn't drink for Robert Paulson, but I think the foreshadowing thing is fine.
Yeah.
You're just trying to find ways to drink less now.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I'll drink as much water as I can. I've got it literally on tap.
Cornelius?
Man, I want Bailey's on tap.
Meatloaf is great in this.
Yeah, such a strange. Like the only time I've ever seen him other than this on screen is what's it
I
called?
think he's done. I think
Jack
he's done a
Black
couple of
movie.
films.
Tenacious D movie. He's in that.
The Pick of Destiny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he plays his dad in
He's like the he's
Kickapoo.
anti-rock music, and it's like,
Yeah.
this is ironic casting.
Tulkus 4 says no movie has only one philosophy to communicate. Raisnox says the phrase toxic masculinity wasn't really a term in 1999. We just called them macho assholes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess the assumption would be that they're just trying to say there's something toxic about males inherently, something, and they can. Is that their problem?
I don't know, like
That the film's highlighting and celebrating it, or the film's highlighting it in general?
I mean, I think there's something toxic about traditional hyper masculinity, but I don't think masculinity is inherently toxic.
There may be some people on this planet who said after this movie they were going to join the club of battle, but I was not one of them. I was like, Jesus Christ, I would never join that shit.
Well, that's true. I was at high school, and apparently a fight club formed at the high school.
Yep, that happened in college too. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I'm drinking water, so I don't care. I'll say it. It's fine. If you guys need me to break those rules, I'll do it.
Yeah, in college, yeah, there was some punching.
You could say there's something toxic about humanity in general.
That's true. That's true. I mean,
does this film comment on that, do you think?
No.
The only sort of broad thing it really touches on is consumerism.
Oh, that's
CGI's bad.
That's the breath that he's breathing out in that shot were leftover effects shots for Titanic.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
I also love so much of the dialogue and a lot of like Tyler's speeches, like the chemical burn scene. It blows me away. Love it.
Is there any kind of like it is a boys only thing in this film? Do they ever actually have a scene where they're like, you can't have girls in it, sort of thing?
I don't think that's ever said. It's just highly unlikely. Yeah, and it's just highly unlikely that a woman would join a club where people beat the shit out of each other.
Vasquez would have joined. I'm hoping both of you know that reference. If you don't, I'm ashamed to be in this call.
Wait.
Yeah, I know that reference.
Yeah, totally. Sure. Yep.
Come on, guys. It's like one of the best sci-fi films ever.
Oh, we're talking Alien?
Yeah. Aliens.
Okay. Aliens. Okay, yeah.
Blue
That's,
Stocking.
what? Sorry, go.
Blue Stocking in chat. Tyler is framed as wrong in the movie, but Brad Pitt makes him so charismatic. People think he's cool and want to be like him. See, I actually kind of agree with that. I think that it was a strange pick to cast Brad Pitt in this role.
Yeah.
Mocking consumerism. And, I mean, I think this was the... this was when he was dating Rachel this time and was on every magazine. And to have him cast as a character who was supposed to represent counterculture was an interesting choice. It's iconic now, so it's hard to separate that decision, but...
Yeah. I agree as well.
Maybe it would have been more clarity if it wasn't him.
Yeah. I think that...
Yeah.
Who would you cast?
As Tyler Durden?
Danny DeVito?
Norm Macdonald?
I don't know, but like I agree, but like I said, I still think Tyler has some good stuff to say. It's not all bad.
Connie points out, but he's also Jack's fantasy. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
he's my fantasy. Shut up, Jack. No, yeah, Jack slash the narrator, because you never really learn his name as such, but he does seem to refer to himself as Jack.
Christopher Felt says, "Why is the bat symbol grainy? Is it the edibles I just had?" Yes.
Definitely the edibles. Why aren't you sharing?
Look at that partner in positivity. You see it on the wall?
That's interesting.
I don't know if that counts as foreshadowing.
I think it could.
I suppose it counts as you rewatch the film and you can
Mm.
interpret what that might be trying to say. It's obviously on purpose.
But it's another one of those things like we do with that TV show that we all like. Where we're just like is this legit, or are we just overthinking it and looking into it way too much? It could be one of those.
Well, you got, okay, let's partner up as he looks at her. I'm pretty sure that's deliberate. David Fincher, everything's deliberate.
Oh,
seems
yeah.
to be the case.
That's true.
There you go, partners in positivity again.
Oh, wow, okay, yeah.
It's clear compared to everything else as well.
I think that's true, yeah. There's a lot of sort of Easter eggs, like visual Easter eggs like that in this.
Hmm.
And I got him to say, Helena Bonham Carter is amazing in this. She's so
Yeah, watching this movie reminds me how much I like her and wish that she did more than Tim Burton movies.
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I really
well, she's in a lot of stuff. She does get around. I was going to say, by the way, like one of my favorites for her is Bellatrix as well. I thought she was awesome in the Harry Potter films.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a great deal of Harry Potter. I've seen a few.
It's one of those castings where I want to kind of make like a collection of like the perfect castings for characters.
Mhm. She's really good at like creepy and zany and like larger than life performances.
Hmm. Who would you have examples for the perfect castings for characters? I suppose we could say Tyler Durden. I don't know if that counts as perfect though, or is it just a good performance?
Well, I think it's perfect casting myself, but it's sort of one of those ones where, at least for me, it's hard to picture anybody else other than Brad Pitt. But perfect casting. This is not the best example, but I think Kelsey Grammer as Beast in X-Men, I think that was perfect.
That's interesting.
I guess
even though they're not great movies.
I don't know if this changes your pick, but if I changed it to born to play the role, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So you're like, yeah, I couldn't see anyone else doing this.
Spike.
Yeah,
I'll go with that one.
And
I'll go with Charles Dance as the Tywin. I can't see anybody doing a better Tywin than Charles Dance.
Peter Dinklage is Tyrion.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of those in Game of Thrones, if I'm honest. There's a lot of like, they really did casting well in Game of Thrones.
Dinklage did an interview on Colbert a week or two ago that was very interesting. He hinted at some of the things he dealt with as a kid growing up, because he's in a new movie, a biopic on HBO about the guy who was on Fantasy Island. I can't remember the name of the two main characters. Khan and Tattoo, I think. But anyway, that actor, Dinklage is playing that actor in the biopic, and there was a moment, it was just an interesting interview where he hinted at what it was like growing up and dealing with what he had to deal with.
Right.
It's just, I wasn't going anywhere with that, so I will drink.
Okay.
Boris says Heath Ledger Joker. That's probably perfect as well.
I think it's an amazing performance. I think that the Joker doesn't belong to anybody really. Not in the same way that, as he's just said, Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark. That
Right.
they're like
Just-
1 for 1. Like I can't see anyone doing a better Tony Stark ever.
Yeah. Just quickly, Rays and Ox, what are we calling the narrator, Jack? Edward Norton's character in this film is often referred to as the narrator because we don't straight out sort of find out his name.
Hmm.
So the idea is that he was actually attracted to her, and
Yeah.
I mean, and that's
Which
go ahead.
which I guess sort of explains why Tyler hooks up with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
She was sleeping with him, and then each morning or whatever, you would just pretend like he hasn't spent the night with her, so she'll just be confused.
Yeah. But she believes his name is Tyler.
And they've carved the dialogue perfectly in those scenes to just slip away without, many people will just be like, that was weird. Why is she acting that way?
Yeah, and it's Marla that tells him, helps him find out that Tyler isn't real because she's on the phone to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What's my name? Say my name." That sounded weird out of context.
This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time. Yeah, there's a lot.
I
of lines in
love
this
that.
I really enjoy.
Yeah, like, and the
If
Raymond
everybody-
K. Hessel scene, love it.
If everybody knows Brad Pitt, him going past there, most people just be like, what the fuck? What's that? Maybe it's supposed to help us believe that he's actually a guy, and he's not his imagination, that little shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commentary.
Those guys in suits. They were nice suits. I love that. On a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone drops to 0. Like
Hey, that's Tim. Is that Tim DeZarn?
Yeah, it is. Oh, I forgot to mention.
Oh.
Yeah, he has a small role in this. So yeah, you met someone who was in Fight Club. That's pretty cool.
1 degree of separation from Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Wow, he looks young there. And even when he looked young, he looks old.
Well, this is almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
In many ways, it's a good thing because you'll come across as immortal. A lot of people.
Ray's Knox says this is one of the few examples where I think the movie is better than the book.
Okay, I haven't read the book. I've
it's-
been meaning to because I love the film so much.
It's actually they're so similar, and the changes that the movie made to the book, I actually kind of appreciate.
Right.
There's a scene in the book where Marla and Jack are chasing each other around a table in the kitchen, and one of the fat bags that they stole from the liposuction clinic explodes, and they both slip and fall in it.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, that's a pretty good cut. This is also one of the best crash landing scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
Like, you can tell
remember
it's
the Final Destination
CGI,
one
but
pretty
it still
good.
looks good.
We'd have to watch it again, though.
Yeah, there he is.
It's a lot of responsibility.
I collect ridiculously expensive action figures, and my holy grail piece is a Blitzway Tyler Durden. I just thought I'd throw that out there, even though no one cares.
I have a Tywin figurine. Someone bought it for me, and I was like, "Oh, that's adorable."
Nice.
Jay from Red Letter Media had a Captain America toy that looked exactly like him.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So I bought it. That's actually the only action figure I have.
Do you treat it as a J action figure?
Yeah, of course I do. I actually meant to tweet at them, "Hey, I'm super excited! I just got my J action figure in the mail."
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they are so closed off from sort of.
Yeah, they're not very big on social media.
I talked to someone who had spoken to them previously, and they said the only real way you get to speak to them is through Rich and Jack, because they're the two that do streaming, and so they talk to their chat sometimes, and that's like the best you get. And on Twitter.
And I don't even think Mike has social media, does he?
Yeah, he does. Oh, Mike
okay.
does, but he hasn't tweeted from it in like five years.
That's probably
like
what I'm thinking then.
Mike literally lives the life of Plinkett. He's just watching on his old TV.
Yeah, and just
his pizza
yelling.
rolls.
Eric,
doesn't he have like a hostage in his basement or something?
A few.
I appreciate it, Eric. Eric says he's been waiting a long time for me to go live so he could donate through Super Chat, and now learned it's not available in his area.
Aw.
Either way, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm surprised, speaking of Red Letter Media, I'm surprised they don't have 1 million subs yet. Because they've been going for
It's
a long
insane.
time.
I don't get what's gone on, because they've been there since I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and still going strong.
And they're so well known too. So that must mean
everybody
that
knows Red Letter Media.
that must mean that there's a lot of people that hate them or something, but I don't know why.
Raise Knox says, when you go up against the Star Wars fandom, you learn quickly to block your address. Well,
I'll keep that in mind.
Your last Jedi review just went over 1 million views, right?
It did, which normally, I don't know, in other contexts maybe I'd find it more reasonable, but it's an hour and 40 minutes. Like,
yeah.
It's insane that I never expected that. I thought the viral video would do it, but it beat the viral video. I was like, okay. Because this video has just been slowly chunking out views. It's not it didn't explode or anything. It's really, really weird how YouTube works that way, but you know, like, it's such a weird thing considering we just talked about Red Letter Media, but like there's loads of comparisons that like my videos will just be working now forever as the go-to for a definitive breakdown of The Last Jedi. When I don't even think there's so many things I could do to improve them. I relatively rushed them out, so it's a really weird, like, you know, everyone's like, oh, it's like your best video, and I'm like, like, there's loads of screen cam shots in it because I didn't have the film, and it's like, man, that's already like a major blow to the visuals.
Well, I mean, I did a vote for that book giveaway on my channel, and everyone, one of the top 3 videos was Lie to Me, which I created 3 years ago, you know, and I feel like I've done better work since then, but, you know, people...
Yeah, obviously, it's about what you make people feel, I suppose, rather than... that's interesting, because we were talking about the whole objective versus subjective in our own content.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get how the guides get wildly different views sometimes. Because, like, as a fan of the show, I'm going to watch every video. Like, that's just the way I am.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be some people in Ian's fan base that are literally only waiting for the episodes they actually want to see. Maybe
maybe.
Like, I don't care about this one.
The 5x5
I just don't
videos
think that way.
But, like, I kind of see it as a TV show. Oh, we got on a crazy tangent right now.
Yeah, so Edward Norton.
Well,
Mustard and sauce.
Yeah, the thing about doing an episode guide is you can develop running gags and jokes and themes over the course of many videos. You develop
your own meme.
Right, so it does have, like, arrows on Riley's chest and dropping books on his head and all of that.
And the subtext bell.
And the subtext bell.
It would be like in the payoff episodes of Buffy, if they reference something that happened in a filler episode and you skipped it, it's like, oh, you've missed out on that little bit now.
Yeah,
exactly.
And like with reviews for things like Where the Wild Things Are, I really am reaching for things to say anyway, and so they end up being a little joke.
I love the ending where you're like, you show the wall and stuff, and then you just sigh. That's so good.
This is a Buffy tangent, by the way.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'll drink for the Buffy tangent. Well, if we talk about my channel, it's technically a Buffy tangent, so...
Either way, I just wanted to have a drink, but...
Poison juice box. Yeah, there's a lot of...
Oh, this H2O is good.
wet floppy naked angel. That never reoccurred, but...
What? Floppy what?
I remember that, yeah. That's
wet floppy naked angel.
When he comes back and he just goes onto the floor. And he's all sweaty because I guess...
That sort of reminds me of Terminator.
That's something. I'm so sorry to go on this tangent when we're watching Fight Club, but I was just going to say quickly, like, it would have been interesting to have more comments from Angel about his experience in 100 Years of Hell. You'd think that would,
that's
would have
true.
affected him more.
Because he comes back and he's all changed and stuff.
Like,
so he obviously
imagine we got some like PTSD moments just in real life or something that he was
that
dealing
that would have been cool.
I love that he's eating chips. Raisnock says
Angel?
that's no. Tyler is eating either Cheetos or chips on the call. Raisnock says that's one of my not to get back to the movie we're watching, gentlemen. I apologize. Raisnock says that's one of my favorite throwaway lines. How embarrassing! A house full of condiments and no real food.
Is that some form of commentary on how he's like all topping and no actual core to his personality? Like it's all just surface level, nothing about it is meaningful.
Well, I think the whole movie is about identity.
Yeah.
And he has purchased his in the IKEA catalog. Is my interpretation of that.
And that's why I've never considered this movie to be definitive on any statement. It just made me think about everything.
Right.
Yeah, and I think the core of it is the narrator / Jack's lack of self-worth, because even Tyler says when he finds out he's not real, he's like, I look how you want to look, I fuck like you want to fuck, like, you know, like he's sorry, it's a family show.
It's a family show, god damn it.
Yes, it's a family show in which we're watching Fight Club.
Gather around, kids. Gather around.
So what are you drinking, kids? It's like, oh shit, I mean water.
Boris says, what is it with all the Terminator references today? I don't know. We like Terminator.
I recently, this is quite a big thing for me. Terminator 2 has been my favorite film since I was like 6.
Yeah, I love it.
Recently, I think Prestige is taking over it, which is a big deal for me.
Okay.
I absolutely adore Prestige. I think it actually is my favorite film, which is so bizarre because it's Christopher Nolan.
Jack, have you seen it?
Prestige? No, it's one of those ones I've been meaning to see, but haven't.
It just, I'm gonna make a video one day, and it's gonna be at 10 years. it's unbelievable how well made I think that film is.
Yeah,
isn't it about a magician or something? Or am I thinking of something else?
Yeah, the plot summary is 2 rival magicians are out trying to outdo each other.
Yeah, Wolverine and Batman do magic tricks.
Okay, sounds good. I'm in. I'm in.
How would you not go to that movie?
No, but I have heard from a lot of people it's really good.
Watched with a friend recently who hadn't seen it before, and I love it when people haven't seen it. It's the best. Me and you should watch it sometime, Jack. But
yeah,
not in this format, because you need
I gotta pay attention.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can watch it once and appreciate it all. You have to watch it twice because it's a mind bender in terms of format for a movie.
Tyler just said another line I love: "The things you own end up owning you."
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you can go with that.
He's got some good stuff to say.
Well, you know, like the idea that you're like, I'll clean out the room. Then you're like, oh no, I might need this. Oh no, this means something to me. Oh no, I can't get rid of this. Yeah, well, maybe not like to the extreme. Just your casual human being is like, oh, but I kind of like that. I don't want to get rid of it. And it's like those things own you rather than the other way around. It's an interesting sort of thought.
I like the line, and yeah, it's an interesting thought, but I'm not really anti-materialism. Like, I've got some items that have a lot of sentimental value to me, so I wouldn't get rid of them.
Good lord, look at Christopher's question in chat.
Yeah.
I'll let Ian field that one.
First of all, I apologize. Christopher Fultz says, the one famous line Marla says later, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school, was originally, I want to have your abortion. But they were told to change it. Which one do you think is better?
Aren't both of those really bad? Like
the story was, I think, Fincher, the studio said you have to change it, and he said, "Okay, I'll change it, but you can't make me change it again," or something like that. And so he went with that.
I'm blocking pornography from being broadcast on YouTube.
Also, I absolutely adore it when films get to meta of that level. It's so cool. Like when he pointed to the thing, because I'm assuming you guys were aware of that before seeing this film.
The cigarette burn, yeah, which is now gone because most theaters are digital.
But yeah, personally, I think the line that ends up in the film is more shocking.
This
But
bit
yeah.
made Footy laugh his ass off. It was so it's so great. They know they saw something, but they're not sure.
and I like it at the end, the meta bit at the end where they put the
crying.
Sorry, Jack. We were laughing at a small child crying.
The bit in the end where they actually have the penis flash up on screen. That's funny. It's like a little.
It's
meta
a brilliant cap off to the film.
What Tyler says about Melissa in chat says what Tyler says about society is different than what the film has to say about Tyler.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
This is why I feel like this is so complicated. Because if anyone said anything definitive about Fight Club in terms of its message, I'd be like, but what about this? And then they go,
exactly.
Okay, that's an alternate, and I'd just be like, I think it's just throwing stuff at you. And I don't know. I've always felt that Fincher films are like, why don't you have a think about this?
I think exactly. I don't think I don't think it's explicitly telling you what to think. It's not.
I think he is diagnosing an actual problem, which is like the crisis of identity, the existential dilemma that the narrator is actually experiencing. But what you think of his solutions to the problem are a different matter.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning of the movie, he's going to therapy to feel, because he can't feel anything in his actual life. And then they replace that with punching people in the face. Again, doing whatever he can to feel.
It seems desperate, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And an interesting thing about this scene, I've read that David Fincher pulled Edward Norton aside and said, actually punch him. And so he did. And he hit him in the ear. And so it was kind of ad-libbed a little bit.
I'd love to believe that, but that's kind of illegal. Especially if Brad Pitt was cool with it, you're fine.
Yeah, like,
if Brad Pitt actually said, like, you just punched me, what the hell?
Yeah, like, I obviously don't know if it's true, but it looks like a real punch. And obviously he isn't going to, like, clock him as hard as he can.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm saying I'd like to believe it, but I remember reading something else somewhere about, some kind of... Oh, yeah, I know what it was. Have you guys seen Django Unchained?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie.
So everyone says that he rubbed his real blood on the girl's face, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right. Yeah.
It's all amazing. It's like, he didn't.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't happen.
That literally
he actually
would be
cut
absurd.
himself. That's true.
He did actually cut himself, yeah, but he never... The misconception is, like, Leonardo DiCaprio is not an idiot. He wouldn't rub his own blood on a girl's face.
Like, to me, that's a bit more serious than punching someone in the face. Like,
you got to think about it from production. Like, Leonardo DiCaprio wouldn't risk his career by literally, like, it's not something you should do.
It's just kind of gross.
For some reason,
absolutely. It's dangerous as well. You don't put your blood all over someone's face. That can do stuff.
For some reason, that shot of them walking up to the house and him throwing the bottle strikes me as an oddly beautiful shot.
I think there's a lot of oddly beautiful shots.
Yeah, like beautiful, ugly. The way they frame, the way everything's composed. I mean, it's a Fincher film, of course. So, yeah, it's rotting.
I remember reading that the house was supposed to represent something, but I can't remember. But yeah, it's old and dilapidated. Maybe that's got something to do with it.
Why not put your blood on someone's face?
Boris says Jack's dilemma sounds like a certain situation from a 6th season of a certain show. We won't say the name, but it rhymes with Puffy the Vampire Player.
That was never the deal. It's a tangent.
Blue Stocking says half my brain wants to know Marva's background and half is scared. I totally agree.
So this scene, would these guys have seen him literally like just doing something stupid to himself?
Yeah,
like
they actually show a flashback. They show a flashback of him punching himself in the face towards the end.
Chanel says, why is the background black? I can't see the film. Chanel, I'm not allowed to broadcast the movie onto YouTube, so...
Fox will come and get us.
Yeah,
it's also muted, right? It's not even low. It's just muted.
It's muted as well. So it's that or the channel goes down.
Fox will actually send a SWAT team to our houses and kidnap us if we do that. I might be embellishing a little bit.
And see, this is a bit like, wow, there's just so many people who really needed this, apparently.
And see, that's the thing. It makes sense that if he was standing there punching himself, a lot of people are going to be standing around going, "What the hell is going on here?" Like,
Oh,
it just
sure.
makes sense.
Once he's got the fights going, though, it does kick off quick in this film. Like, people start to really get into it.
Tyler has the best wardrobe in this movie.
He really does. Yeah.
I kind of want the see-through hustler shirt, except I would look the opposite of him in that shirt.
The Tyler Durden figure I said I wanted earlier, it's him in the red jacket and the glasses and stuff. It's really cool.
Oh, we haven't been paying attention to the rules. We're supposed to drink per fight. So.
Oh yeah.
Cheers. Guys.
Well, see, I don't care because I'm not drinking.
I trusted you to keep track of it.
I'm trying.
Boris, man, you let us down. Boris was supposed to do that. I mean, it's a job we just assigned him without his permission.
I didn't realize he was naked in that shot.
I don't think he was he?
Yeah, when he fell off the bike, it's just straight butt. Somehow they managed not to show his bait and tackle.
I love the way you said butt there, butt.
We are so inconsistent with us words. We randomly are like, I will not even say poop.
Yeah.
Christopher Bell says I would give my left testicle to have Tyler's abs. I do have Tyler's abs. There's just a big bowl of jelly over the top of them.
Yeah, I feel that.
And someone's like, that's not true. He's like, you can't prove it.
And I love how we go from this intellectual talk to he said butt.
The beauty of alcohol and water.
Welcome to Passion of the Nerd, Jack.
It's good to be here.
Existential crisis and penis jokes. That should be on my actual poster on the channel.
That really sums it up well. It really does.
No,
I don't mean that in a bad way either.
No,
surface, it's like on the surface, penis joke, subtext, existential crisis.
Yeah.
Actually, I should. Right now, the catchphrase is "nerdy for normals," which I kind of liked, but penis jokes and existential crisis is probably more apt.
The set designer deserved an Oscar on this one, Blue Stocking says. I totally agree. It's visually very good.
I don't know an element that doesn't really deserve an Oscar, though.
Yeah.
It's also,
and
this is one of the top films of our species, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that's
Did
why
it
the
win any
backlash.
awards?
That's why the backlash against it that I've noticed online is interesting to me.
But it's all social backlash, and like
I'd
I
argue
said,
it's disappointing.
all the current reviews focus on toxic masculinity when there's so much more to it than that. And I don't even that's not
feels
what
a bit
I
like
get
you're
from it.
reducing what this film achieves by being like, yeah, well, there's this element that I don't like.
Yeah, and there's this sort of backlash of people looking up to Tyler, and I don't know. Like I said, no one should aspire to necessarily be Tyler.
Yeah,
but
I don't know
there's
why
some
you would
good
wanna be.
lessons to learn.
Like, I can understand the fantasy, but to actually live that life, this film does not portray it as anything but extremely dangerous. And I know that, like Jackass exists, so there's people who actually do this stuff.
Yeah, that kind of came up around the same time, didn't it?
And that's
a
fine.
little bit later, but yeah.
But the whole reason they exist is we're gonna do it because you won't.
Johnny Knoxville is really kind of a strange Tyler Durden analog. And
yeah,
if I think about it, comparing those two, maybe it's the style.
And it's so crazy because he's got a normal career now, or at least he's actually starring in movies as just characters as opposed to Jackass.
And Johnny Knoxville sort of goes to the extremes of he will do the most painful things because that's his thing.
I did watch a YouTube video recently where he was going over his characters. They're ended up in my recommended a lot recently, where actors are talking about their characters as some kind of thing from Wired, I think. I don't know. But he did a film recently where there were stunts involved, and he ended up after he explained a bunch of the stunts, he was like, I felt less safe in a movie production than in Jackass because of the way that apparently they were I don't know if they were less safe or less precautions with their stunts versus Jackass. Apparently because they live and breathe dangerous stuff, they actually knew how to better prepare for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with Jackass too, because in terms of insurance and everything, they always had to have ambulances on standby and stuff like that.
Blue
because they were
Stockings,
doing stuff that was so dangerous.
Blue Stocking says this has the same set designer as Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Wow!
Yeah, that's interesting.
I always liked it.
Wow.
Did either of you guys see? Oh, I must have asked this to you before, Jack, because you're because you're from Australia. But have you seen Farscape?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the shows I always watched when I was a kid. And Ben Browder, the main character in that show, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He's one of the golden people.
Oh, okay.
And when I saw him, I was like, "Oh my god, he's still working! That is wonderful."
Drink for fighting.
Farscape's okay.
Yeah, I like Farscape, but funnily enough, before I found Ian's channel, the reason I found Ian's channel is I rewatched Buffy, Angel, Farscape, I think it was Lost, and a couple of others.
Okay.
And I was like, I want to clarify the shows I liked when I was a kid, how good are they as an adult? And Buffy's the only one, an Angel, that came out where I was like, this is actually good.
That's pretty much me too. Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you load a show with theme.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I certainly appreciated it more as an adult, I think.
I'll just be completely honest with you guys. Like, I wasn't quite sure of what it was. I was like, this show's got something, and I'm really enjoying it, and that's kind of why I sought out analysis of it.
I mean, and initially, I started watching it when I was a kid because I really liked horror. So it was a pretty girl for fighting monsters, and that was cool. But yeah, there's so much more to it.
The other movie that came out around this time, which also has, I think, fallen
I'd
under
fight William Shatner.
The same sort of criticism is American Beauty. And that movie actually won, and they're both sort of about the same kinds of issues, you know,
yeah,
kind of meaning and
I just
identity.
Want to clarify quick on the previous subject. One, I do actually really like Farscape. I don't think it's bad or anything. And secondly, yeah, I figure that Ben Browder's in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as a reference. Like, he's there because of the fact that he was in Farscape. That's always what I thought anyway.
Possibly.
But,
Drink for a fight.
Is he punching him in the balls?
What's your guys' take on rewatching films like American Beauty or, let's say...
I've really wanted to do an American Beauty review for the channel. A friend of mine ruined that movie for me. I
haven't seen it in such a long time.
We got into... Oh, that's the iconic abs shot.
Yep.
Sorry, I was just momentarily distracted by how
stupid
beautiful
sexy Tyler.
Stupid sexy Tyler.
I'm not into dudes, but goddamn.
But both of these movies are both kind of about anti-consumer, anti-American. Yeah.
I wouldn't say anti-American. I think it's anti-establishment in general.
Yeah. And I have not watched American Beauty since I think 2005, I want to say, when a friend and I got into a long debate about it, and I've been meaning to do a review and engage him because he had great things to say about.
Was he critical?
Yeah, how nonsense that movie actually is philosophically.
Oh, okay.
Buying stuff is not inherently bad. You know.
Oh, well, depends who you talk to, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, there's some people who feel like I didn't sign up to this society, you know? I was forced.
Initially, I watched American Beauty because I had a huge crush on Mina Suvari.
Oh, the tooth. I forgot about that.
Even the Mona Lisa's falling apart. I was just going to say quick, I feel like, in case you guys want to say anything else on the subject, just go ahead. But the question I was going to have was, so you got like 7, American Beauty, House of Cards, a lot. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but do these pieces of content change as of the revelation of a certain actor that helped drive them to their...
Well, that's art. Well, I think 7 might get better, but art versus the artist.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I never thought of that. That's amazing.
I don't think it changes the impact at all, though. Like,
well, my vote is subjective. It never bothered me in Mel Gibson's films, rewatching them, but it actually did. And this isn't something I thought was going to happen. I watched we were rewatching something with Kevin Spacey. It could have been Seven. It could have been something else. But me and a friend of mine were like, man, like, do you think this was one of the sets that he was messing around on? And like, because there were kid actors in the film. I think, oh, it was
So
it was LA Confidential. And
that's
actually
a great movie.
It's an amazing movie, but he's a little bit sexual in that movie, and there's child actors in the film, and my brain is like, wait. And I feel like, again, it is subjective. It doesn't affect the film's quality whatsoever from an objective level, but it actually can distract me enough. Just because that's happened.
There's breasts on screen. I've got to censor.
Watching,
you'll be fine. You're in the center of the frame.
Watching True Lies after what Eliza Dushku said made me feel a bit weird.
Yeah, on True Lies. That's insane.
Yeah.
I loved that film.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what scene she was talking about, and I was like, oh, shit.
And watching it now, I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel good. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. But, like, would I feel differently about Fight Club if Edward Norton was a pervert? I don't know.
Well, that's the interesting question. I think Boris sort of has touched on it. It's like Mel Gibson said a lot of really, really like nasty stuff compared to Kevin Spacey performing actions that are just downright disgusting.
Yeah,
I know you can sort of. It's down to your own interpretation, but that's probably why I had a problem with one rather than the other.
The other interesting thing too is Mel Gibson plays a lot of scumbag characters. Like
he does play a lot of heroes as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a scumbag he's played. I can't think of
Riggs. I mean, Riggs isn't really a scumbag, but he's kind of like down. I actually like Riggs a lot.
Well, I was going to say, you know, in the Patriot, he is heroic, but he has the whole history of having killed children and women and stuff.
Yeah, and he's kind of hardline in that too.
This is what I mean. I was like, I'm not sure if he's ever played I mean, I don't know if you count like Expendables 3. He's the bad guy in that.
Good lord.
If that counts as a movie.
Yeah.
Stupid.
That's just an excuse to blow shit up.
I know,
right? He's so good looking. It makes me feel so shit about myself.
It's the abs, man. He's like carved out of granite.
Like, who doesn't want to be Tyler? I'm gonna straight up say it.
That's part of the problem.
It's genuinely, I think, a good point about maybe the interpretation of this film is Brad Pitt ruined it.
What? Whoa. Hang on a minute.
I love the look he gives at the dresser right here. You got here fast.
Did I call you?
Maybe it's the point, though. He's supposed to be cool. He's supposed to be suave.
Well, what I'm saying, it doesn't ruin it for us. It's great for us. But for the people out there who are like, because of his charisma, this film is definitely saying that this is a positive thing. We're like, no.
No, I think it's... You have to look deeper than that. Because, like I said, he's
drinks without.
He says at the end, "I look how you want to look. And what does he say?
How you want to, I love that shot.
like you're implying
and the
that
dancing
it's
in the hallway.
Very deliberate. Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, like Tyler is the narrator's projection of a perfect man, I guess.
Blue Stocking says Mel Gibson should be arrested for crimes against history. The way he twists it and still claims his movies are based on true story.
Braveheart makes me so angry. I love it as a film.
Go ahead, Jack.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I love Braveheart as a film, but it is it makes me angry how much bullshit is in that. Like,
I had a great conversation with a YouTuber who covered it and broke down all of its historical inaccuracies recently. And I asked him, like, does that make a film... I can't remember if I mentioned this to you guys, but I was like, does that make a film bad? And he said yes. And then I said, do you like Inglourious Bastards? And he said, absolutely, it's a great film. And then I was like, what about the people out there who think that's how Hitler died and that's how the war ended? And then he was like, nobody would be that stupid. They would be uneducated. I'd be like...
But I think with Inglourious Bastards, it's really exaggerated, whereas Braveheart, it's not so much. Braveheart plays it very straight.
Well, the problem is that the people who made Braveheart said that it wasn't
Yeah.
that they exaggerated a lot of stuff that it wasn't entirely true. They actually said that publicly, and it's like,
Okay. Right.
does that make it okay, or is that still a problem?
Like I said, I love Braveheart as a movie and as a narrative. It's a brilliant movie. I love it. It's probably in my top 10. But it just like
Well,
how
I love to
they.
take the controversial position for once against Ian here and say that I actually really like The Patriot.
I hate that movie.
I like again. I like it as a film.
I think it's a great film if you ignore history.
I think I
Yeah,
hate it for
exactly.
personal reasons.
Okay.
Is it because of the history element or something more?
No, it's something completely different. There's an event in the film that I guessed in the first 5 minutes, and I found it to be tedious and manipulative. And as soon as it happened on screen and was gruesome and depressing and awful, I was like, I'm done. The way the movie masturbates over Mel Gibson's heroism.
I have to disagree. I have to disagree.
Demonizes all of the British.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's a nonsense. You need to watch the movie again. I am British, so I should be the one that's offended. They show so many shots of British people being upset at what happens. They show so many arguments between Tavington and the other British members that this is wrong.
I mean, like I said,
still does portray them as villainous, though. It still portrays them as villainous.
Nope.
Good Lord.
Look at him. Like, my God. I said, I didn't even like guys.
Stupid.
Like, wow.
That's now a rule. I'm drinking for stupid, sexy Tyler.
Yeah, let's do it. Even though I don't have booze. Who were you talking to? See, I love that.
Like, do you remember Ian when Mel Gibson puts up the good guys and the bad guys at his house, and then Tavington orders all the good guys to get shot?
First of all, no, I don't, because I acknowledged immediately when I said that I had a personal issue with that movie. That's not my actual review of the film.
Oh, that's cool. I'm just saying that, like, I was going to give you just literally in the first 10 minutes or whatever, if that's the area you're talking about.
I was working in a movie theater when that movie came out, and I saw it for free. And I only saw it once. That was so it's an initial reactionary knee-jerk review. But no, I don't remember very much about the movie. I just remember the plot development that put me out.
Callum, don't you also love the guy who plays the villain? Isn't
Absolutely.
Like
he's one of my favorite
I
villains.
I love that actor. Yeah.
Jason Isaacs is so underrated, it's criminal.
He's in Avatar The Last Airbender. He's one of the Fire Nation guys, and he's one of my favorite parts of the first season because he has such
He works so hard in his role. Did you? I'm pretty sure you have seen Awake, right? Because you referenced it in one of your videos.
Yeah, I love that.
Awake's really good, and I was like, why did it get cancelled? This was fun.
What an fascinating premise for a show. He wakes up in one life and his wife is alive, but his son is dead, and he wakes up the next day.
Would you consider doing a guide for that, out of curiosity?
For Awake, sure. Well,
just for the one season, because I was going to say,
I would do a review of the first season. I don't think I would do it. Episode guides are labor intensive.
There was a couple of episodes where it sort of fell down, but like the last 3 or so, man, I was glued to the screen. You remember when he gets like knocked out after being betrayed in one world, and he ends up in the next one, and he's like, oh shit, like that's going on in world A, and I'm stuck in world B. It's the kind of stuff that's so much fun to play with, especially how it ends as well. I'm sorry, this is a tangent.
Boris says, isn't that Lucius Malfoy? Yes.
Yes, it is.
Calvin says, have you ever read any Chuck Palahniuk books? I read this, and no, I think that was it.
I've been meaning to read the book.
A lot of people want my take on the Harry Potter series. I was never that passionate about it, but you know what really pissed me off was that Lucius Malfoy was awesome, and he gets degraded into lackey and pathetic, and then he's out by the end.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like give him a chance to be a villain again. He kicked ass as a villain. Oh, he's so like the accent he does as well. I love his English. It's just ridiculous, and he still pulls off a really good American as well. This is what I mean. He's a very versatile actor, and he's had a career of, I'm doing all right, I've got roles.
My sister and I just watched, he reminds me a bit of, my sister and I just watched Sherlock the first Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr. the other night.
Oh,
The villain in that movie is
Mark
usually
Strong.
Mark Strong is so captivating most of the time. But he reminds me of Isaacs. He has that same kind of
Yeah, I really like him.
charisma.
He's born to play villains as well.
Jason Isaacs was in a new film called The Death of Stalin or something. I haven't seen it yet, but it looks good.
I get really happy whenever he pops up. He's in Black Hawk Down as well. He's like,
Oh, is he?
in fairness,
in Black Hawk Down.
in fairness, every actor is in Black Hawk Down.
Yeah,
there's literally
that is a
40
wonderful
actors.
movie.
I haven't seen that since I saw it in theaters.
Really good.
It's one of those. It's one of those movies that I remember.
That's another one that's based on a true story,
Do you
right?
think the cigarette is a penis metaphor? Is this a penis metaphor?
Of course it is. Of course.
Wait,
Let's
can I ask a quick question,
Yeah.
Ian? What do you prefer, Black Hawk Down or Saving Private Ryan?
Black Hawk Down. I don't
Say-
really like Saving
Saving
Private Ryan.
Private Ryan.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
because I'm really into World War II. So, but
Well, no, I mean,
I am too.
Saving Private
I
Ryan
prefer
is the
Saving
bunch
Private
of Ryan
Ryan.
too.
I adore that film. I think it's amazing.
I love the first 15 minutes of that film. I think it's stunning. And
Yeah, the D-Day.
I don't really care for the rest of it.
Wow.
It's beautifully
That's-
made. It's
Yeah,
lovely.
wow.
It's
I'm surprised.
that's kind of beautiful devastation. All the actors are incredible. I just don't really care for the movie.
But that's
Yeah,
another
I mean,
film that's
that's-
historical bullshit.
Oh well, sure, probably. I don't
Yeah.
even know. There's a couple
But
of
it's still-
strong
it's still a great
details in
film.
terms of historical accuracy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember. But I'm sure it's
visual-
inaccurate in a lot of ways.
Visually, it's pretty accurate, especially the D-Day stuff.
The D-Day
I just love it
sequence
for
is one
the
of
standard reasons. I think the characters are extremely strong.
Yeah.
I love the plot. The action's amazing. The cinematography is
Plus,
amazing.
I pretty
the
much
sound
love
design
everything.
is amazing.
There's,
Pretty sure it won
Yeah.
awards for the sound design.
I have an aversion to a particular kind of violence. In
Oh, we talked about this, didn't
yeah. I don't know if we
Mm.
talked about it
I
on
know
a stream
we?
before.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Saving Private Ryan that stuck with me for months, and it was not the D-Day sequence. It's a stabbing in the scene that was so vile and awful that I could not, like, I had nightmares about it. I couldn't get it out of my
Okay.
head. There's a
And
scene
you
in,
don't
Wow.
even.
there's a scene in
you don't even need to
Goodfellas that
explain
did
it.
that to me.
Mhm.
And I've only seen Goodfellas once. I saw it in the movie theater, and it's a personal bias. It's definitely a
That's my
personal bias.
favorite gangster film. I love
Yeah.
Goodfellas.
But I saw Goodfellas too young. My dad took me to that when it was in the theater, so I think I was 11
Okay.
years old when I saw Goodfellas.
See, I've been watching horror movies since I was 5,
I
so
was
stuff
gonna
like
say
that
I
just
can
doesn't
outdo
worry
you.
me.
My dad showed me Silence of the Lambs when I was 6.
yeah,
Wow.
I saw Silence of the Lambs in the theater.
My sister
Ugh.
let
That's
let
so
me
gross.
watch.
It's
That is
so
so
gross. It's the worst. Oh,
My
and he's
sister
like
let me
standing
watch.
under. Sorry, Jack. I was having a knee-jerk reaction. Go ahead, buddy.
My sister let me watch Nightmare on Elm Street when I was 5, and
Oh,
it
Jesus.
terrified me, but I loved it.
That's like torture.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I got.
it terrified me, but it started my love of the genre. So yeah.
I've got a funny story. I was banned from seeing The Hills Have Eyes by my parents.
That's
And,
interesting.
I was waiting for the day that every day that they were gone, I would search for it because I know they would keep it. I couldn't figure out where because my dad's got this big DVD collection. This was when I was very
Right.
young. One day I finally found it and I was like, yes. And they came over and I just put it away and I was like, yep, next time they're out, I'm going to watch it. And then I was, I think, 2/3 the way through the film and my sister came home when I had no idea. And she walked in and she saw it and she knew I wasn't supposed to see it. And she went to immediately turn it off and then she was like, what's wrong with you? You're not supposed to see this film. And I literally just went, why though?
I
And
love
she was
this
like,
scene.
because it's inappropriate and all this shit that I was just like, it was boring.
That's the thing. Like, I like it, but it is kind of underwhelming.
I genuinely, even at that age, I said it seems a little bit too
It's very slow.
not just that I'm struggling for the words. I'm a little bit drunk, but I don't want to say cheap, vile for the sake of it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I was like, when people are getting murdered and chopped up or raped
This
or
is
whatever,
your
I remember even as a kid watching it being like, this is tasteless.
I love this scene so much.
I actually
Don't deal with this the way those dead people do.
When you brought this up, I was thinking about this because I've been dealing with part of the thing about going full time with the channel has been confronting issues, and one of them is my propensity to sort of get stuck in my head and in a spin cycle and space out.
And that's what this is about.
And that's what the scene is about to me. It's about being present. Yeah, like being in the moment, being here. He's trying to space out and use all of these other techniques.
Yeah,
I mean, it does it in the way that the movie does it, which is like brutal violence, and it does it in an ugly way. But that's what the scene is about to me, and I really enjoy that aspect.
The dialogue is so good.
Yeah.
Fuck redemption. Fuck damnation. We are God's unwanted children, and so be it.
Yeah, be in the moment.
Yeah.
Not for some future or something that happened in the past, but in this moment right now.
Exactly. That's what he's saying. And I love that. It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. That resonates with me for some very personal reasons. But it's true. It's like if you've lost everything that matters to you, you are then free to rebuild your life however the hell you want. I love that. So good.
I agree.
That scene is one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema. I just love it. It's so good.
We were selling rich women their own fat acids back to them.
See, this film is it's so good. I'm sorry, I'm gonna start gushing. It's so good. This is such a special movie to me.
Stuff, this film.
Like it's so special to me. I love it so much.
It doesn't resonate for me personally. But I can watch it and go and respect how great it is. I mean, it's beautifully shot. You know, it's incredibly on point, and it's ubiquitous. I think it has become a modern classic. Paper Inky says, the only scene from X-Files I remember vividly is the incest boy on a skateboard under the bed. I just had to read that out because that is an incredibly famous and very disturbing episode of the X-Files.
Okay.
Hello?
Hey, did we lose
Hi.
you?
I don't know what happened.
I couldn't hear anything for like the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, that was weird, because my internet was working, but I couldn't hear anything.
It was the mom on the skateboard boys. Well, that's okay. I was reading something out. Raisinox says, all right, gotta head out, but enjoy the rest of the movie. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to try and do these a little bit more often. And Cal's picking the next one.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Something weird's going on with Discord, I think.
Yeah. You were cutting out for me a bit, Ian.
Hopefully
it seems okay now.
It seems like we're okay now. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was echoing your point. For me, objectively speaking, I think this film ranks extremely high. Subjectively speaking, it's high, but it's not in my sort of close to my heart films.
When I think it meant more to me when I was younger.
Oh no.
I think I'm losing them, everybody. How's the stream? Is the stream okay?
I think it's Discord, genuinely. Because the stream's fine for me.
Okay.
Yeah, the stream's fine.
I think it's Discord, and we can't necessarily swap over to something, can we?
Not really.
No.
We could try to restart the call.
You guys have sounded fine to me, but you're saying I'm cutting out?
I think
a little bit.
Genuinely, I think it's just Discord's having a moment every once in a while.
Well, let's stick with it.
It seems okay now. It seems okay now.
Yeah, let's just hope we survive it. But yeah, everyone's favorite films obviously resonate differently. That'll be the
exactly. It's a personal thing.
I think one of the new Patreon tiers is vote on a movie review. and I think for the first one, I'm gonna let the vote will be from my 5 favorite films.
Okay, yeah.
So
Do you know
That's a
what they
good
are?
idea because it's going to be stuff you're passionate about.
I
Pardon the pun.
and what's interesting is the vote is like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind,
Mm.
I love that movie.
Back to the
Oh.
Future,
Yep,
Blade
I
Runner.
approve. I approve.
Eternal Sunshine's going to win.
I'm gonna have to look at Flick Chart. I think it would be really fun to do a Back to the Future review. The reason that movie resonates for me personally is George McFly. George McFly in high school, who was into science fiction and bullied and all of that, is my way into that film. Is why that film to me is so powerful and fun
I
and
think
amazing.
there's a little George McFly in all of us, or the three of
Well,
us.
yeah,
anyway.
sure. I mean, it's playing with broad tropes, certainly.
Yeah.
But it's what's his name's performance in that film.
Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover is so amazing.
He is a great actor, but he's such a weird man.
I can't believe
a very
he's
strange
Sleepy
man.
Thin Man in the Charlie's Angels movies.
Oh, Drink for Fight.
I've been drinking this whole time.
Yeah, when someone asks me like my example of a perfect movie, Back to the Future is always the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
It is a perfect movie.
I had a friend who's said their favorite was Back to the Future, and he like took 2 hours to explain to me how the time travel concept and mechanics are absolutely flawless, and they absolutely work within the fiction.
Well, there is no.
Oh, within the fiction, sure.
I don't think there is a flawless time travel movie.
Well, I'm saying it would be nice if he was around, because he would give you his argument. But I was convinced by the end of it, even though I had my reservations to start with. But he was obsessed with the film. So
for me, obviously, my example would be Fight Club. But there's many, like Back to the Future as well. I think is flawless. Although part 2 is my favorite, and it always has been.
wait,
Really?
so it was. Well, I actually prefer part 2 to 1.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I was more entertained by it, but again, I think we got a Fight Club situation here because I really think Back to the Future is amazing, but I don't actually connect to it probably as much as.
Oh, I don't really
both of you do.
connect to it much either. I just love it, and
just for the sake of it, do you guys
also
connect to Terminator 2? Because that's one of my like.
I did.
It gives
I
me
did for a long
feels.
time. Go ahead, Jack.
It gives me feels. It gives me. I don't know if I connect to it on a personal level, but it makes me feel things and makes me sad, especially at the end when he goes down into the molten lava. I just think that's heartbreaking.
I think Back to the Future, or excuse me, Terminator 2 did for a while, but it feels like whatever I loved about it as a kid, is no longer like or whatever was in me personally as a kid that connected with the material on a personal level, which is what we're describing, is no longer there. Has changed or whatever it is. It's still one of the greatest action films of all time.
Yeah,
and I watch it on that level.
All the ones we've been talking about as favorites are all considered just amazing films generally. Anyway, it's quite interesting for choices.
I guess on a philosophical level, I like what Terminator 2 has to say about humanity and the future of humanity, or the possible future. Yeah, no fate but what we make.
And then Terminator 3 ruined it.
Absolutely. And then Genesis.
Terminator 3 shat on the philosophy of Terminator 2.
I don't mind Terminator 3 as an action film, but Genesis makes me angry because it shits on.
Yes. Genesis makes me furious.
Genesis was abysmal.
Honestly, Genesis is the only film there that has actually made me legitimately angry. Like, I wanted to punch my screen by the end of it. I was so angry. They shit all over the lore.
John makes it worse.
John Connor, the villain, they made John, like, what? Okay, I gotta stop. I have to stop.
And James Cameron approving and promoting it. That was like the biggest stab in the back.
Boris says, I don't think emotional connection is always necessary. Sometimes cleverness is all you need. I agree with that, Boris, but what we're distinguishing between...
We're talking about favorites.
We're talking about the difference between objectively amazing versus personal favorites, and why, I can look at a movie like
Well,
nothing springs to mind. But
well, it was just like it was interesting that we were saying that's why I said it was interesting. All the films we chose are all films that, objectively speaking, have a hell of a lot of quality.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Like
what film do you guys think you love but is considered terrible, or even just
Passengers.
average? Oh, I don't know if I'd say I put it to that level. Like, I do like it a lot, but
I don't know if I love it, but it's kind of like comfort food, and I see all the ways that it's abysmal.
well, I think we talked about it before, but like I did absolutely adore the film putting its effort to show what it was like to do things alone versus with just another human. Like
there's so much I love about that movie.
It's a beautiful message, and I think they nailed it in that first 2/3.
Mine would probably be The Visit. I love it, even though I know there's bad stuff about it. I still love it.
Revenge of the Sith, as Boris just put out. That's a fair. Well, I mean, anything's a fair choice with what I've just said.
For me, Revenge of the Sith. If you take Anakin turning bad out of it, it's boring and crap. But I love it for that reason.
The biggest thing I loved about that film was
I like it.
The Jedi getting betrayed and the whole this system falling apart. I really liked that bit.
Well, I mean, to use the nomenclature of the channel, you're talking about candy movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like I enjoy.
Yeah, I guess
I enjoy Reptile
but
Boy,
not for the reason of
I
love it because it's bad. I love it despite it's bad.
Exactly. Like I actually really enjoy Reptile Boy and Beer Bad. But I can see that, especially in the context of the great episodes in the series, probably not objectively good.
No. Going back to the Future, I think also part of my love of those films is nostalgia as well, because they were big films when I was a kid. I watched them a lot. But yeah, part 2, I think I liked it a lot because of the image of the future, and I just thought that was really fun and interesting.
Yeah. It's definitely the 80s vision of the future, which is perfect in the context of the film, but it was well executed in that way.
I love how much we
recognize him from.
We were a part of the generation of seeing all of the futuristic films from the 80s getting realized on their timelines, like
like Back to the Future now
also,
entirely takes place in the past.
The actor who's spraying people with water, he's in a lot of stuff, but the thing I know him from recently was not True Detective, the Mindhunters. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Oh yeah, I just watched the first episode the other night.
This guy's been in a lot of stuff too. I don't know his name.
My Stargate watch has not been going well.
I only recommend Mindhunters if they have a strong season 2, because my goodness, I love the premise, but they don't really do anything with it in season 1.
For me, that's kind of like Westworld. I love season 1, but then season 2.
I haven't seen season 2, but I heard the fan reaction. I was like, I had enough problems with season 1. I'm not going to bother.
Well, actually, when you explained to me some of the problems, I was like, oh, yeah, you're kind of right. But I still like it. I
still want to make that the series. I've got 30,000 words written in a script of my criticisms of Westworld, but it never got realized because I was, funnily enough, Last Jedi came out, and I was fucking furious with that film.
And Anthony Hopkins is so good, but
he's the reason I would absolutely recommend seeing Westworld, just to listen to him say such incredibly interesting things.
Yeah, so good.
Just to listen to him say stuff.
Not to mention, by the way, it's probably what I would consider to be one of the best TV pilots ever. The first episode is almost flawlessly good.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I knew nothing about it going into it, and then so when I found out, I was like, holy shit, really? They're all robots? What the hell?
By the way, drink for foreshadowing and for fights.
Ah, yep.
Oh, you know what? Funnily enough, this is kind of showing us what's been going on throughout the film. But
he says here, for some reason, I was reminded of my first fight with Tyler.
Ah, yeah.
That's great.
Hey, did we totally miss the Raymond K. Hessel scene, or have we not gotten to it?
We haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay,
my sense of time is starting to blur.
Calvin says, Mauler, you didn't like The Last Jedi?
Uh-oh, here we don't get him started.
Calvin, are you being cheeky?
He has. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Such a divisive issue.
It's an incredibly divisive film.
Blue Stocking says, I'll go totally out of left field. My favorite film is My Fair Lady. Is beautifully made, and I connected to it. That's fair.
A lot of classics, I think, fall into that, like The Sound of Music or The Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
are so objectively good, but they just don't mean anything to me personally. And I think that's the distinction.
Yeah, I completely agree. But The Wizard of Oz, believe it or not, is actually on my list of favorite films of all time. I adore that movie, but it doesn't.
Did you see Return to Oz?
No, I kind of don't.
That film scarred me as a child.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
it's terrifying.
Yeah, and I'm just, but The Wizard of Oz is so whimsical and fun.
Paper Inky says, my mom watches Troy at least once a week. I don't even understand, but to each their own candy.
Dude, I will defend to the death that Troy has one of the best fights.
Yeah. Well,
that is an amazing fight. I watched it again recently.
I think he made that right after this and had that.
Troy's got Brad Pitt. Yeah. I've only seen it once years ago.
Achilles versus Hector, man. That's a fight that I would put in like a top 10 fights of all movies.
Calvin says, I am being cheeky, but I did like the movie, even though I don't like Star Wars.
We were talking
that
about...
explains it.
Earlier, we were talking about perfect casting. Ray Boulder as the Scarecrow. Amazing casting, I think, in The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that movie is so a part of the culture, I can't really separate it.
Did you know initially it was a flop? MGM actually lost about $1 million. And it was only after they started showing it annually for some holiday in America that it became really big and got its sort of cult status.
It always blows my mind that Blade Runner, was it a flop? It did badly, right?
Both of them tanked, and I loved the second one. Loved the second one, Cal. Loved it.
I still haven't seen it.
I want you to meet. I can't remember if you've met Alex, a friend of mine. He bloody hates that movie.
I think I've met Alex, haven't I?
I think you have. I don't think Ian has. But Alex is he's me and him are very much the same on how we approach movies, and he's just. It would be great. I think I'm so confident because this is it's the difference between Blade Runner is his favorite movie of all time with no contenders, and he's so passionately explained everything wrong with the new one that I'd be confident it would change your mind on it.
You've seen I don't really like to change my mind.
No, what I'm saying is there's no guarantee of it, but that's how well articulated he is on the subject and how much he said stuff that I was like, oh shit, yeah, oh.
It's so rare though if I love something that someone can change my mind. It's like
this is kind of what I want out of YouTube, by the way. I like that we all have our specialities, that we all got our passions, and I think that makes us much more efficient at like I'll stick to Star Wars, Ian sticks to Buffy, you could stick to whatever you choose, as opposed to all three of us explain what's wrong with the new Harry Potter film, Crimes of Grindelwald. We were all just like, what? I don't know. I could. This thing's happening in it. And then someone's just like, I still love it. This doesn't change my mind at all. To get into the mindset of someone who passionately loves it from the core, you get these fiery arguments that you're just like, shit. I don't know how to deal with this.
Oh, this scene. I love this scene so much. Great. Oh, because it's so true. He kind of helps him in a really fucked up way. Sorry, I swore.
I mean, that's
a good point considering what we've been talking about. Yes, it had a positive result, but the film is definitely showing us that this is unethical.
Yeah, and you can't argue that he would have been traumatized. Of course he would have been traumatized.
I mean, this kind of scene is sort of the problem with, or the challenging part of interpreting what the movie is trying to say, because it is so positive. I mean, it's grisly and awful, but
he does essentially change his life and gets him back on track.
Having just made the decision to quit my job and do the channel full time, I certainly identify with if you're not
the
on
man
the way
behind you with a gun.
If you're not on the way to being a veterinarian, you will be dead.
Yeah, and like because at this moment he is convinced that he's about to die, and then he doesn't. And as Tyler says, tomorrow will be the most beautiful day of Raymond K. Hessel's life. His breakfast will taste better than any meal you and I have ever tasted. I love that. That's one of my favorite lines in all. Love it. Sorry,
I love it, but I just thought about it in the context of my own life and quitting my job and starting out, and I was just like, that didn't happen for me at all. I was like, oh my God, what have I just done to my life? I've been doing so well, and I'm switching to this. What am I doing?
And I love how great this is because it's like we've all got a reaction to this scene that's different. I'll let you finish yours, but I've got my own.
What I was saying is, like, if you really think about it, is tomorrow the most beautiful day of Raymond's life, or is he shitting his pants that some stalker is going to break into his house and blast him in the back of the head?
I think it's a mixture of, like, he says his breakfast will taste better than any meal you and I have ever tasted. It's because he'll wake up and think, fuck, I'm alive. I was about to die, but I am alive.
Appreciating being alive, yeah.
Yeah, I like that interpretation.
But like I said, you can't argue that he wouldn't be really traumatized because he would be.
Absolutely. Like my take on it is like the idea is like, is it worth it? Like that result for that method, like the ethical choice of like, what if we did this to everybody? And it's like, there's so many results that could vary, and like
the most poignant bit isn't Tyler saying, if you're not on your way to becoming a veterinarian, I'll track you down. It's more the bringing him to the point of death and then letting him go.
Well,
let me jump in real quick because that shot, I think, is funny. In 50 years, might not mean anything anymore.
Yes,
because this actual film.
Yeah,
with the audio, track on the left side of the frame itself. That's where the audio for the movie comes from.
Even some really young people now wouldn't quite get it.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention,
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
I was going to say I got two things. First thing is that I've already noted this with friends about my sister's daughter. I said she was watching the Lego movie. And I said, rewind it, because it was started halfway through when we put it in the DVD player. And she said, what does rewind mean? And I was like,
oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, right, because rewind doesn't make any sense now.
Yeah, you don't physically wind anything
nothing to
anymore.
wind.
Yeah.
Rewind actually has evolved into meaning just goes backwards. Like, which is fascinating to me.
But if I'm watching a YouTube video with you guys and I want to go back, I probably will say rewind it.
I certainly will.
But that's because I'm old.
So
I was born on VCR. Like that's
my generation.
So first of all, hello, fellow kids, and second of all, what do they actually say? Go back?
No. She wasn't asking why do I call it rewind. She was asking what does rewind mean.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Like, why is it called rewind?
Yeah.
And that's the interesting
blows
part.
my mind. That makes me feel so old, and I'm only 31.
Fast forward still makes sense, but rewind, not quite.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Fast forward just means going forward. But
although, yeah, but see, back on VCR, you press fast forward. The image on screen moves fast forward, whereas that doesn't really happen with digital media. You just skip ahead.
No, I think there's some. Well, it'll be stills going. That's. Or you can actually get it going really fast. Depends on what kind of player you have, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Do you remember too? Blockbuster used to charge you a fee if you didn't rewind the movie, and then 3 minutes when you were done with the movie of just sitting there and waiting for the stupid thing to rewind it felt like torture.
Well,
it felt like
did you guys ever kill tapes?
What?
Like,
what?
I used to watch a lot of Simpsons when I was younger, and I killed several tapes because I just ran through them so many times.
Yeah, I did that with Star Trek: The Next Generation.
And I think about 10 years ago now, or between 5 and 10 years, the last company that was manufacturing VCRs stopped, so they're officially obsolete.
I think, was it PS2 stopped recently? Or no, that's probably... Something stopped recently, and I remember thinking, like, man, I'm old.
Yeah, I think it is. PlayStation 2 support stopped recently.
It's a sad reality we live in.
I know, right?
But
we
yeah,
just
the
go
other
back?
comment I had was that do you guys know about the whole like human? It's like a philosophical statement. Humans are amazing at solving problems that are present in the moment, as opposed to long term and slow. It's the same as the boiling pot with the frog. But the idea that like Raymond didn't realize there was even a problem in his life until Tyler was just like, "Okay, I'm going to kill you," and he's like,
Yeah.
and it wakes you up. You're like, "Oh, I need to change. I need to
Well,
stop
he was
fucking around."
I think
he
again
was
that's
probably just like floating through life,
Yeah.
distracting himself and
Which is a
all
big part of
that
this
stuff.
film, isn't it?
I think that's
Yeah.
again just about being present.
Mhm.
I think I may have told you guys this story, but I don't think I've told this story to you guys, signaling to the audience. So I was with a woman for quite a long time, and at one point she said to me, "You're so depressed," and I said to her, "I'm not depressed. I'm fine. I don't feel anything. I'm good." And then we broke up, and about 6 months later, I was like, "Oh, I've been depressed for years."
Right.
Like
Right.
like the ability for time to just bleed out, and
Yes.
and to
Yeah.
not notice it, to the
Yeah.
routine. And to me, that's the
Yeah. And it's
greatest
a similar
enemy.
concept.
That's the greatest enemy for me of creating stuff. Because for me,
Mhm.
creation, making content, making videos for the channel is incredibly confronting. Because
And
I'm very neurotic, and so I deal with, like, is the audience going to hate this? I hate this. Do I have enough to say? It's every single video is a terrifying experience that I choose to do, which is weird, right? Like, I'm putting myself through that emotional ringer deliberately on purpose every single time. But to do
right.
that, for me, requires being very present, because it's so easy to just kind of space out
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
let a week
Because
go
like,
by.
and when you've got problems or things that you need to do or figure out, it's so easy to just say, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. It's okay. I'll do it tomorrow."
Yeah, I mean,
And
like,
that's probably what Raymond K. Hessel was doing.
I used to self-apply the term procrastinator or lazy, and I don't
Mm.
anymore, because I think those terms are dead ends. Once
And
you
I don't think,
label
and I don't
yourself
think you were
that,
necessarily.
go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was just going to say, I don't think you were necessarily being lazy, though.
Well,
It
yeah,
wasn't laziness.
that's the thing, is I think that most procrastination is born out of fear.
Hmm.
It's just fear of failure. So much, like, absolutely, there's so much in my life that just comes down to fear of failure, dating,
Yeah.
and pursuing creative pursuits and all of that.
And it's rooted in anxiety too, and a
Right.
lot of people don't recognize a lot of anxious behaviors, like putting things off and delaying things. Like that is a part of anxiety.
Yeah, if you self-label procrastinator or lazy, it's such a curse,
Yeah.
Almost like
because
you're like
it's
encouraging it.
yeah, well, it's a
Well,
tattoo. It's an anchor that you're towing all the time. I procrastinate
it's
so hard.
it's like a self-prophecy in a way.
Yeah.
I was going to say between once I left standard education and between that and getting a job / doing YouTube stuff there was a year and a half of nothing. I didn't do anything, and it was because I had no idea what I was gonna do.
Mm,
And it's the moment of I never want to be in that position again, because it was the most depressed I ever was. I had no
Yeah.
purpose. I was just sitting around. I had no idea what I was supposed to do, other than I could watch movies, I can play games, and I
Well,
can just do that till I die, I guess.
the creative trap that I got stuck in for years was when you first start making stuff, you're not very good at it. And then you make something better, and then you make something better, and 4 years later you're doing
yeah.
stuff that you're like, "Oh, that's okay. I think that's pretty good." But that point where you make something and you're like, this is okay, or
Yeah.
it's really a confronting experience, is where most people get creatively stuck, because I mean, this is the quote from Chicago Public Radio I've gone back to many times. But with video content, for me, I got stuck there for a long time, where I know a lot about editing, shot composition and stuff like that, and the stuff that I was making was not good enough for my own tastes.
Right.
You know, um, but you have to like kind of give yourself permission to suck, learn from the
Yeah.
thing that you did wrong,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then make the next thing. And then like
think
go ahead.
I was gonna say we've talked about this before, but like if you look at my earliest stuff, I'm almost like, oof, yeah. But when I made it, I was like, man, this was a good shot at making something. You know?
Yeah.
And you have to fucking. I've been trying to encourage my friends who vaguely show interest in making videos. I was like, put something out, anything, just put something out, and so then you move on and you just you do like process of elimination. You're like, next time I'll do this, but I won't make that mistake I've just noticed. Even that is a move on. You've just developed.
Well, the other thing too is not comparing. Like I was always compare my stuff to other people's, and there are better YouTubers, there are better videos, but once you can kind of stop doing that and just compare yourself to yourself and say, can I do better than this? Was this better than the last one? Appreciate the things you do well. Then, you know, like someone else's journey just has nothing to do with your own.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like, well, I'd just say try and appreciate your own style if you can as soon as possible, as in you're doing something that no one else can do because it's you. And as much as there's so many people who are so much better at editing than I am, I still feel like even my editing, as much as it's below average for what a human can pull off, it's my style. A lot of people won't have because of that.
I've gotten a lot better, and I haven't announced it publicly. I've told you guys, but I may as well say it now. Next year, after the Christmas break, I'm going to branch out and start doing my own reviews.
Yay!
Nothing's going to change with Passion of the Nerd. I'm still going to be doing that, and nothing's going to change at all, except I'm going to be putting out my own videos. The thing that sort of scares me, I guess, is... So I want to review one of my favorite Australian films called Bad Boy Bubby. It's a film I love and it means a lot to me. But part of my problem is I don't want to do it until I'm good at making videos. But at the same time, there's nothing else than I want to do. So I may as well just go ahead and do that film.
Yeah.
Why not Fight Club first?
Oh, Fight Club first? Yeah, I could do Fight Club first, yeah.
Or literally, you do the sort of Ian approach, which is just like challenge yourself, throw something at you. Literally just have one of us say, review this, and just do it. Yeah,
because like, the thing is like, because I love that film so much, I want to do it to the best of my ability, and because I'm probably not going to be great at first, maybe I should wait, but there's nothing else I really want to do. But yeah, I could start with Fight Club.
Jack, there's a lot of defrosted. Boris says, "Yay, Jack!"
Awesome.
Paper Inky says, "Oh, congrats, Jack!"
Thanks, guys.
I mean, I'll be subscribing immediately.
And
I'll check out.
Yeah, I agree, and I will retweet. But I wanted to highlight a comment back here. Melissa said a little ways back, "Yes, and paradoxically, at the same time, we need a routine." We are creatures of it. If one is not doing anything, doing the same thing each day that is a routine, a bad one needs a better one. That's true. I'm dealing with that right now. That's one of the biggest issues that I've been dealing with since I quit my job, is not having a boss, not having oversight, not having deadlines, not having any of that. Working anyway, trying to get up every day and get something done and go and get the rock.
It's like... In some ways, it's easier when you've got someone else telling you what to do and when it has to be done by. Like, having your own plan is kind of difficult because you can... the only person you're responsible to is yourself, you know?
Right. And the thing is, like, most people have a very poor history of keeping their word with themselves. Most people probably have a better history of keeping their word to other people than they do to keeping their word to themselves. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do
like promising yourself something and then not staying true to it.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Right. And that's an issue. Going full time and being self-employed, it's like, well, no one's looking but me. And if I don't write anything today, if I don't record the Patreon stuff or whatever, you know, the only person I have to deal with is myself. So it's a huge struggle, but it's...
Yeah, like, you can't lie to yourself.
Right.
there's no chance of that. So you have to reconcile it almost with your own integrity in a way.
Right.
This is another great scene. Sorry.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we're supposed to be talking about the
wait,
movie.
wait. I was gonna say we're being unfair to Fight Club, but I think it's fair to say that Fight Club has caused this discussion.
Sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's part of what's so good about the film.
It's about
It's
identity.
existential. This film. Yeah.
Because another thing, well, I feel like I should be quiet for this scene. I don't know.
Let's just
Paper
kinda
Inky
watch
says you could hire an assistant to stare at you all day. That I already have him, and his name is Jack.
Yeah, like I really do nudge Ian as much as I can without really pissing him off. Oh, this is so good. Oh.
God, can you imagine being those two guys
Yeah,
riding in the
he's
back
talking
seat
to
with him
himself.
talking to
Yeah.
himself?
My favorite part of this is stop trying to control everything and just let go. Oh, that resonates with me so much. Oh, love
With the
it.
idea that they resonate with Tyler, but they have to put up with his alternate personality every once in a while. And they're like,
Yeah, it's a bit
"Fuck's
odd,
sake,
isn't it?
it's him again." Like the
Yeah.
lame one.
And yeah, like he goes from talking to them and then just yelling at them and stuff. It's just one dude. Oh, I love this so much. Sorry, I'm gushing again.
No. We
Go
are
ahead. That is
supposed
the
to
point.
be here watching the movie. I think
This scene
anyone.
is
That's
just-
you know what? You know,
wow.
of all the audio commentaries I've ever watched, I don't think that's ever actually happened in ones I've listened to where they go, "Okay, I want to be quiet for this bit."
Well, I mean that's. I have, but typically they're disappointing. We were quiet for a good, 15 seconds, and someone in chat said, "Keep talking, boys."
We will. It's just that some
when you-
scenes you have to just.
When you watch a DVD commentary where the
It's
director
not a
doesn't say anything
goddamn
for 30
seminar.
seconds.
Ah. Let go. Ah, I love it.
And yet again, he's saying "let go" to get into a car accident that could potentially injure other people.
Right, yeah. It's not exactly a good thing, is it?
There's
Which,
all, there's
correct me if
that-
I'm wrong, but does the guy in the back die? The one of the two in the back dies?
No, I
Or-
think they both live.
Oh,
But
okay.
again, it's there are some situations that you can't control. No amount of thinking about it or trying to figure it out is going to help, so you have to let go. But in this situation, no, it's not.
Oh, he actually chips his tooth in this scene.
Yeah, like you shouldn't let go of a wheel
Yeah,
when
don't
you're
let go
driving.
of the
Do you
wheel.
mean for real, or do you mean?
Yeah, right there, he chipped his tooth.
I hate teeth. They're the one part of the human body that doesn't regenerate in any way, shape, or
I'm
form.
not a big fan of
Stupid.
teeth either.
And
Although
I
nightmare
hate
fuel.
the dentist. I hate the dentist a lot.
Genuinely, I have to tell myself they're causing me pain to prevent further pain. Okay.
Ah, this scene is so good.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say, by the way, about the whole no purpose thing, it was very much tied to the fact that I went through a lot of subjects in school and I couldn't find one that worked. I didn't actually have anyone that I was interested in, and like my parents were like, "You like media? Go for media studies." And genuinely speaking, I know this is going to be a surprise to you guys, but I didn't like what they were teaching. I didn't like them telling me what was that it was all subjective. I was like, it's
That's
not
like
though.
Weird. I can't imagine you adopting that perspective on
No,
stuff.
I know, right? I
It's like-
genuinely consider it learned, by the way, from people like YMS,
it-
Red Letter Media, whoever else.
Yeah. You're talking about your perspective on objective versus subjective?
Yeah, like that it was. I think I've said this to you before, but like when I have two content creators who have conflicting references, one of them's accurate and one of them's inaccurate, then I'm like, I have to go with the one that was accurate.
Right.
Because that's the one that made sense. And then I'm like, the one thing I always wanted was for them to talk to each other. And you could be like, oh my God, you know, a lot of people argue this about me. It's like Mullet's obsessed with debate. It's like as if I have to prove I'm right about everything. But like genuinely, you know, I'm never going to convince them. But what I really want to do is get to the bottom of it, figure it out, because it helps me decide on the subject. And you know, like it's just several times I'll watch two reviewers that I love have completely different perspectives on a film, and that's fine, by the way. If one likes and dislikes, that's fine. But when one of them says they were on the back of the door, there was loads of passports just then, and some other reviewer says on the back of the door there was loads of ID cards that were meant for a security building that sets up the scene later that they break into, and I'd be like, wait, which one was it?
Yeah,
you know, like,
okay.
That's, you know what I mean? And you could be like, that's irrelevant. And I'm like, no, it's more about the clarity. I just want clarity with all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's a very minor example, but you know what I mean.
Going back to studying, I was the same in school. Like, if I didn't care about the subject, I just couldn't do it. I just didn't try because I just didn't care.
Well,
and a while ago,
grades.
I did an introductory course in Adobe After Effects, and they just weren't teaching me the stuff I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn how to integrate special effects and pull certain things off, but all they were teaching us was how to make shapes spin around and stuff. I'm like, this is boring, and I don't care.
Yeah. Well, you know,
he looks like Spike. Sorry.
How would you react, Ian, if someone said you should teach what you do on the channel as an actual subject?
How much does it pay?
Okay, well, because what I'm getting at is that some people have asked me that, and I've been like, it's not, I can't, and the idea is like, well, that's how subjects start, right? It's like,
well, part of the reason that part of the reason I started the channel was because I wanted to make myself an expert in the things that I was going to talk about, and I didn't feel that way. Everyone knows the story at this point. I watched the show, and then I watched it again. And then a year later, I watched it again, and I read Mark Field's. I bought Mark Field's book, and everyone who wants the academic analysis, I refer to Mark's book because it's wonderfully sourced, and he does a great job of breaking down the show. Mm-hmm. But so in my mind, part of the reason that I started the channel was because I felt like YouTube was a wider audience. I needed to practice in editing and voiceover and so forth. And so I started making videos also because I wanted to master the existential philosophy that resonated with me very, very personally. So I'm not sure where I was going with that. You asked me if by the way, Robert Paulson drink.
Been drinking a lot.
His name is Robert Paulson.
So, but I mean, that gets back to the cliche that if you can, I've had too much Diet Coke and whiskey at this point. If you can teach it, you know it.
Sure.
Someone in chat is going to throw it out.
I'm a terrible teacher myself. Like, rather than giving clear instruction, I'd be like, you press the thing and you do the thing, and I'm just bad at explaining things.
I mean, it's a great way to try and master certain material is by figuring out how to teach it to someone else.
Yeah.
And that was the intention of the channel. One of the many intentions of the channel from the beginning.
You kind of touched on what my response was, which was, well, I'm not sure if I actually said it or if it was just in my head, but it was the idea that, like, even if I decided I will actually teach this as a subject, and then after several years I got accepted by a university to actually run the course, and then I had a class of, let's say, 10 or 15 people per year, like, why? Why would I reduce the message to such a dramatically low amount of people instead of...
Yeah.
I know you'd be like, well, YouTube's not taken seriously. I'd be like, it's taken as seriously by the person who views it. That's
and
just
also,
how it works.
If you were a teacher, you would have far less freedom too, because you still have
exactly. It was all, to me, I was just like, that just sounds like restrictions, all kinds of restrictions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paper Inky says, you can do it if you can teach it, is the phrase that I was searching for.
Okay.
Does that apply if you have two people who are teaching two things that are diametrically opposed, but are functioning, as in, like, people are learning from both of them? What would the truth be at that point? I don't know. I'm hoping that you could figure one out.
I don't.
The benefits of capitalism versus socialism, or something like that. I don't
Well, I don't think those are practices. Are they? I guess capitalism is a practice.
Oh, are you asking like would the subject of medicine actually counter anything? And it's like no, because it's self-contained as
Right.
a subject.
Yeah.
I suppose you're right on that. Like, there's no, it's not like biology counters chemistry or something.
Yeah, there's
like
no opposing viewpoint. Well,
What
I guess
about-
there is to global
I was gonna have a
warming.
suggestion, but I feel like it's too controversial to get into, so we'll have to avoid it.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. No politics on the stream, my bad. Which is weird.
It wasn't even
global warming
it's
is
the idea that what is taught in schools, religion is a subject, science is a subject. Would you consider them diametrically opposed?
I've never
No.
I've been to schools where they've had scripture, but it's never been taught as a lesson as such. You
So
just go into a room and people preach to you, and kids used to go just to get out of schoolwork.
Genuinely agree with your initial reaction there, the no, but I've got personal experience, which was that our teacher told us that Darwin's dying words were that he was absolutely wrong on everything he said.
That's not true.
Wait. This is a good story.
That makes me angry because I'm a science nerd.
She said that to our class, and I was like, "There's no fucking way that's true. That's ridiculous."
That's not true.
And she was like, "Nope, it's 100% true," and that he was a believer, but by the end. And so we had this really down to earth science teacher, and I was like, "Is this true? Did he actually say that?" And he just looked at me like, "Are you trolling?" And I was like, No, the religion teacher said this to us. And I was like, I had friends to clarify, and he was like, "No, what he said was that he had regrets about bringing it up because of the amount of carnage it caused in discussion. Like, so many people were angry and hurt, and that he regrets having brought it to the two people because of the damage it's caused." And that's completely different. What she told you is not true. And I was just like, oh shit. Like, this is two subjects but that's more like two people disagreeing, I suppose.
Even if you take religion out of it, it's spreading misinformation, which makes me angry. Like, you don't.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's she should have been given criticism for that, but it never got out.
Raven is memeing it up in chat pretty well when she says, "These are lies."
These are lies.
Well done. That's
literally that's what our biology teacher was like. He was blown away. He's like, "Who's been telling you this?"
I love that
that's
shot.
ridiculous.
Raven, as the unofficial ringmaster, I say you just won comment of the stream.
You know what's? For some reason, I was just thinking about movies where people are always sweaty. Like, everyone in every shot in that montage was sweaty. Like Michael Bay movies, everyone is always sweaty.
Do you know what's funny? That you say that. I watched Predator 2 recently with Alex, and he noted as a strong detail that Danny Glover had been running around for a while in a crime fight thing, and at the top of when he gets to the roof, he's all sweaty, like he's got sweat patches and he's like generally dripping. And he was like, they must have applied water to him to make it continuity. And he was like, that's a really strong detail. And I was like, yeah, I agree. Turned out he's just sweaty through the entire film.
By the way, that is Spanky from Angel Season 5.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Spanking men.
I don't have a problem spanking men.
Going back to that TV show that we all like, when a certain person comes back from a hell dimension, they're all sweaty and wet, and I don't quite understand why.
You need to use that in future, by the way, Ian. These are lies.
These are lies. I thought about it in the last, or in the Yoko Factor. I might start.
Like whenever Spike says anything, these are lies.
These are lies.
That's a great meme.
Yeah. I mean,
I was so disappointed. By the way, you misquoted Giles' greatest moment. When he says,
well, and 3 people tweeted me back telling me I was wrong.
I saw. I was gonna do it myself, but I was like, no, they covered it.
Wait. What was misquoted?
So Giles is drunk and he says, "You never train with me anymore. He's gonna kick your ass." And,
yeah.
Ian thought it was.
I couldn't pick the accent clearly. He said I knew I was going to screw it up. What I catch is scared to kick your ass. It sounds like He does blend it. I mean he's doing the drunk voice really well in that shot.
By the way, here we
go.
I
love him in that
Those
scene. By the
sunglasses are.
This is where it all starts to unravel.
It's like Mad Max sort of thing.
It's so Mad Max.
By the way, the same company that made the other Tyler figure I was talking about also makes one based on this look. But I still want the red jacket version.
Yeah, this is the scene that if you're watching it with someone in a room, you just start to look at their face.
Yeah, they're just like, well, it's when Marla says Tyler Durden, your name is Tyler
Yeah.
Durden.
Well, that should be the inkling, but there are genuinely some people who haven't quite, they don't believe it yet, you know?
And this is where he explains why Tyler is the way he is. He explains it. He's the narrator's perfect example of a man.
Right. And then he kills him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
He
So,
rids
look,
himself of him.
Which might be an
like-
example of Jungian individuation, if you've been watching
Yeah.
the channel.
And like I said towards the start of the stream, look, male identity and toxic masculinity, even though I don't necessarily like using that term, it is a part of it. But I think there's just so much more to this movie that's poignant. But everybody seems to hyper fixate on that.
Having watched it now this time through, the question is whether or not it idealizes toxic masculinity, and I absolutely believe it does not.
Yeah, which a lot of people like. If you watch modern day reviews, a lot of people think then it does glorify it, but I don't think it does.
Yeah, and the very fact that he tries to kill himself to kill Tyler at the end of the movie is
such a major direct counter, isn't it?
Exactly. It is the point that says he's not the idealized man.
It's also a great shot too. Like the cinematography is great in that.
Yeah. Technically.
Technically, you are. It's all the same to her. That's such a great line.
I was gonna say just really quick weird tangent, but the fact that Adam actually sees through Adam's thing just made me think as well. How come there's not more of that shit going on in the Buffy universe if it's easy enough for Jonathan to pull it off?
Yeah.
How are there not more sorcerers creating?
Yeah, like if magic were an actual thing,
hey,
I'd be cheating on tests constantly.
Maybe the entire series is Buffy's Superstar, where she's a superhero.
Oh,
what's
just
the
blew my
episode
mind.
called?
Superstar.
The one where she's actually no, the one where she's in the
Normal
hospital.
again.
Yeah.
Normal again.
I love that episode.
You guys know how I feel about
Jack
that. I love it. It's a masterpiece, but it does my head in.
Jack, you just fanned out so hard you broke your Discord for a second.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just cut out.
Oh, wow.
These are lies.
I just want to keep saying it now. It is funny. Someone mentioned how it's like fucking Frankenstein monster realizing that some guy is cast as
Eric,
like, what the hell's going on?
Eric says
that really was comment of the stream.
Eric in chat says I hate normal again. Boris says normal again is okay.
I think it's a masterpiece, but it makes me feel anxious and
I love it.
uneasy. Like,
well, of course, emotionally, I love that episode, and that she has to say goodbye to her mom in order to embrace the present. I think that that is so powerful, and that's why that episode works for me.
But it makes me uneasy because I don't want to think the whole show is just a delusion of this girl in a mental institution. I hate that thought.
It doesn't bother me. I see it as just there's so many problems with the Buffy show in terms of continuity and objective stuff that it makes sense that it's inside.
I kind of agree with that. Like I kind of like there are a number of logical issues, which is not how I watch the show.
Yeah,
you know?
But
like,
let me
both
just
ideas seem valid to me, and that's why the episode just works. I'm just like, man,
But
I
let
wonder
me
what it
just-
actually is.
But let me just make clear, I think it's a brilliantly made episode. It's so good. It's like the Twilight Zone. It's so good.
Yeah. God, I love this.
Man, I didn't realize it's a bit of is it a bit polarizing?
Normal again, yeah, and mostly because of the final scene. If they hadn't included the final scene where you see Buffy comatose in the mental institution,
that's my problem. If you take that scene out, I wouldn't have any issue.
I think it works. I still think it works.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I've always my defense is that it's her exit that we're seeing. She's passing through into believing 100% the other world's real, and we get to see the final shot of the other world.
Mark's
Ian,
essay on Normal Again is spectacular, by the way. Anyone in the chat, if you have Mark's book, you should go read it, because he and one of the things I'm going to aim to do with the episode is point out all of the ways that Normal Again was hinted at throughout the season. Right. And I brought it up a couple of times. There are little, ideas. Ted saying, "I'm going to tell your mother, and you'll spend the rest of your days in a mental institution." There are little Buffy, eggs throughout the series.
Yeah.
In continuity in Normal Again, does it imply that she's been taken before she went to Sunnydale?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's in LA.
Divorced.
But I was just going to say, by the way, my assessment of Normal Again is dependent on there's no correct answer and we don't know for sure.
See, yes. Like some people sort of headcanon it by saying that the last scene was before she took the antidote.
By the way, I'm not stopping it, but we all need to drink for Buffy Tangent. This is the most Buffy tangent and tangent since Tangents came to Tangent Town.
By the way, Ian, I will admit that night you and I sat on Skype and we talked about that episode. You made me feel a little better about it by going through a lot of the good stuff that's in it.
And the other thing, too, is if that final scene is a representation of some aspect of her subconscious, then it works.
Yeah.
Like
that will
fit. I think it fits. There's no continuity issues with that.
Her giving up on the reality.
I don't think
it's almost like the last of the poison trying to get back at her in
I don't see it as a continuity issue. It just, to me, it makes the ending completely ambiguous.
That's what I wanted. I wanted it to be ambiguous.
I appreciate that aspect of it, but I think so much of the show is about attachment to the reality that we want as opposed to the reality that we have. And that cut back to the reality that she wants is her parents are still married and her mother is still alive. And the cut back to that is sort of a symbol of her subconscious letting go of reality being any other way than it actually is, or letting go to the changes to reality that she would make, and on that basis, I kind of love that scene. By the way, I love the cinematography in this movie. Every time the camera moves, all the camera movements are so gorgeous and deliberate.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like,
masterpiece.
I don't have an issue with this film. I can't think of anything that I could be like, oh, this is a problem I have.
Because you would think, like, if somebody who wasn't a competent filmmaker made this, there would be a lot of inconsistencies with how Tyler interacts with the world. But no, they did it perfectly. It's seamless,
the thing.
I think.
If someone could bring something up, then maybe. But like, as far as I'm aware, that there's nothing beyond like if someone said in this scene there's this shoelace or something, I'll be like, yeah.
I've seen this film probably a dozen times over 20 years, maybe even more, and I can't think of a single flaw.
I could think of flaws if I tried, but I don't.
Wow, you cynic!
I don't really want to. That's the thing. It's like cynicism is a choice.
Take enjoyment out of the world.
Look, I've never actually sat down and tried to see a flaw, but I've tried to think about it objectively, and I can't think of any flaws.
I'm not going to
go on, Ian. Throw it in.
Nope,
go on,
nope.
Go on, throw it in.
No, I will end the call. No.
I love that you just got the two possible reactions. The one that's like, "Bring it on, I'll take it." The other one that's like, "Leave me alone."
Yep.
But this film is so special to me. Don't ruin it.
You chose the film. You know the company that you're in.
I know. I'm kidding. That's the thing. Like, I love this film so much that even if you pointed out a big flaw, I'd be like, oh, whatever. I still love it.
Yeah. Okay.
Go on, then. If you want to, you can.
No, I don't want to. That's the thing. It's just like I came up with one, and now it's burning a hole in my brain. I need to wipe it away.
Well, then say it. Say it.
Wait. Write it down at least, because I want to know what it is. But when Jack's, I guess, not around.
No, I want to know what it is. I was mostly kidding. Tell me. Go on.
The movie does not have the best portrayal of women.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, but
there's barely any women in it. Is that part of the problem?
Well, that's the thing. But that's the thing. It shows one woman who is clearly messed up, and that's not a representation of women. That's a representation of an individual.
Right.
I was gonna say, is it a statement on women to only have a one woman character who is in it mainly for sex?
That's the difficulty, right? Like
I
that's
would say
that's
that's
the question.
subjective. That's not a part of the. That's your interpretation.
I mean, that's an issue. That's a question with representation in general.
Also,
Are all movies supposed to have, you know, the ideal breakdown of roles and the ideal portrayals of
no.
Right. I also thought we were talking about flaws in terms of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Oh, in terms of filmmaking, no, it's flawless. I'm on the same page with you guys.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were talking about.
Yeah, for subjective issues, I could probably figure something eventually.
Melissa says because the movie is about masculinity, I agree with that, and so it's probably not actually a flaw, except for the fact that an indelible part of masculinity is how you relate to women.
I guess I would say that's the subject they don't explore in this film.
Yeah,
but I don't think they tried to.
I mean, do you really think they've summed up masculinity outside of relation to women? I think there's hell of a lot more to talk about for what makes a man a man.
Exactly.
I do. I'm just saying.
And like I've said 100 times during this stream, I think there's more to it than just masculinity and male identity.
And by the way, I should have prefaced with I was deliberately reaching for something. I didn't like that. Doesn't actually bother me. Like it doesn't stand out to me about this movie.
Right.
But then you said filmmaking, and I'm like, no, it's essentially perfect.
Yeah,
well,
that's what
I was going to say.
We were talking
I
about.
mentioned how there are films that exist that don't have like objective issues, or the very few to the point of essentially flaws. And people were like, "Okay, what film were you referencing when you said that?" And I was like, the problem is that theoretically it's possible, therefore there is a film. I can't remember whose law is that, but if you've got, let's say you have 10 scenes and 9 of them are fine and 1 doesn't work, then theoretically you could have a film that scene would have been fixed. Therefore it does exist.
Part of the interesting, I wish that you and I had our sanctuary conversation online, that debate over the issues, but
we can do it after the movie.
One of the things that you said that I have kept coming back to was you keep bringing up you were saying to me that I kept bringing up ways to make the episode better, and using that
was actually my idea,
and using that as a criticism for what was wrong with it.
Right.
Sorry, Jack, if you said that, I thought that.
No. I mean, my idea to fix it with the Wes thing. That was my idea. That wasn't you.
Oh no, yeah.
Which I did reject. I don't think that fixes. I think that's a different episode, to be honest.
Yeah. But that, just in relation to what you were talking about, that has come up for me several times. It's just because there's probably a way that would have made Sanctuary more satisfying. Does that highlight something that was actively wrong with it?
Well, hopefully this answers your question, but you could have a movie about a man who goes to the store, buys some potatoes, cooks them, eats them, and the film ends. It's objectively flawless in what that's it. As long as you filmed it all right, continuity is straight, there's no contradictions, everything is straight. But what the hell? Nobody's going to give a shit about that film. You know, a lot of people have said, like, why do you even talk about objectivity? And it's like, well, the point is the discussion, the separation, the interest in that. So the idea, what I'm trying to say is that when you're objectively flawless, it doesn't mean you can't improve, because I don't think films, like people are like, Mola thinks that an objectively good film means an emotionally good film. It's like, no, you haven't listened to anything I've said. It's the connection. So like Sanctuary, for example, there's a load of criticisms that I think run without contradictions, but maybe could be more satisfyingly emotionally. It's such a complicated conversation, but
right, and I don't actually try and make that distinction in my reviews. So I mean, that's for me one of the interesting challenges when you and I do have a debate like that. Is I don't normally tend to care about the distinction. Like, to me, I feel like there's a trust between the writers and us that episode violates, and that's something a little more ephemeral than logical.
Well, if it's betraying Buffy's character, or whatever, we do disagree on that.
Right, and I will say that Long Buffy tangent drink. Yes. Sorry.
This one will run to the credits. It absolutely will.
I will say that review, I think, has issues because with my desire to be putting out at least a video a week, at some point, and especially with a towering project like the episode guide, reviewing every single episode, there's a point where I just need to go, okay, it's good enough, and start recording and editing. Now that's not that's the reason. That's not an excuse. The way that I know that I've made a mistake is I get a number of comments criticizing something I wasn't even saying, which is, and in particular the Sanctuary review, the thing that occurred in that review is people said that people kept telling me that Buffy being upset was grounded in character. And I never said it wasn't. But the fact that enough people said that to me tells me that that something was missing in the script of that review. My point was not that her being upset wasn't grounded in character, but her being completely inflexible to the point of I'm trying to speak through this scene that I think is absolutely incredible.
It's such a good scene.
Yeah.
It's so well
Editing
filmed.
is flawless.
It's just, and the performances too. Brad Pitt is amazing. Oh, wow.
That was good.
I think that shot was physically impossible without another person there.
Yeah, they probably
been
keyed
wires.
him out. I think, wires, or they just keyed the person out.
Yeah, it could have been a man in a green suit sort of thing.
I love that shirt.
Even then, I still not necessarily disagree, but have
I'm just trying
to have in there.
I'm trying to highlight a major issue with the review, which was that I didn't clearly distinguish between. I thought that I said it in that I think her righteous indignation is justified, and I went through the reasons why. I said, but there's a point where she doesn't feel like Buffy anymore. But I think the issue in the writing was that I did not come back to explaining that point clearly. I thought it was sort of reflected in the editing.
Well, see, but even if I'm practically arguing, it's like even if it was clear, which I think I definitely picked up on that because my grievance is that Buffy is consistently absolutely against Faith up until season 7. She has not forgiven Faith even after Sanctuary and the following episode.
I just think Buffy would have gotten to a point where she still wasn't happy with it, but she would have understood it. But she doesn't.
I think it's
get
more
to that
human
point.
That she has the reaction she has, which is I will absolutely not forgive Faith for what's happened.
The worst part is,
but it's not about forgiving Faith. It's about understanding what Angel is trying to do. It's not about forgiving
fine.
her.
Let me rephrase. It's not. She doesn't see Faith as savable.
Okay.
Right, but her relationship with Angel as
This is gonna go on.
Yeah. So Fight Club.
Yeah.
I feel it's like we have to make a choice. It's like we have to cut this off, or we go on forever.
Yeah,
That's the two
exactly.
choices.
Well,
we can't half-ass it. Like,
and even I think even the Buffy aspects of the episode aside, there's still an issue in that the Angel aspects completely divert attention from Faith.
I agreed with you that she shouldn't have punched him twice.
Yes. Well, the punching twice thing is the easy point, I think, for a lot of people. But I think that the episode, the two-parter that was promised at the end of 5x5 didn't actually occur in Sanctuary, and I think that's also an issue.
Say that
Tyler's
again, sorry?
saying that he needs him. Sorry, I'm watching the movie.
It's our bad. It's our bad.
Jack, stop apologizing for doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, you're the one in the right here, dude. We knew this would happen. The three of us are obsessed with Buffy.
Raven says,
Thank you for acknowledging it.
Raven says, drink for talk of Fight Club. So now the rules have changed when we actually talk about the movie.
You should change the movie to
That's the second half version of that rule. When we actually talk about the thing we're watching, drink.
Oh God! But we knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
It always does.
If you've not been to a live stream before, this aspect is inevitable.
This is as fascinating to me as the conversation you guys always have about the lie.
Oh God! Please, let's not get us started on that.
No, but it's so great because genuinely, I was talking to Ian about this, the whole Boromir thing. There are references that support both sides so strongly.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I feel like my side's got stronger references, and you guys feel like your side has stronger references. And it's the most conflicting battle. Well, you've got some, and bear with me with this. I know that there's going to be people who disagree, but The Last Jedi is total garbage, while something like The Prestige is total brilliance. So there's there's not much wiggle room. But the subject we're on right now has so many references that both conflict and support. And it's insane.
Yeah, I think also like with Ian and I, we have like polarizing interpretations and feelings about the lie, but I don't think either of us is necessarily right or wrong. So it's not really a discussion you could.
That was actually my position. I agreed with both of you.
Well, and the thing I think that makes those debates work is we all kind of agree we love a great show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know, and so
and also that we're friends, and so we're not. Like,
well, yeah, we never have to worry about if you argue with a stranger, they don't know if it's in good faith, but we know absolutely that we're in good faith.
Calvin in chat says you're not actually supposed to talk about Fight Club.
This is true. That's also
that
a rule.
much is certain.
You know what? The rules were contradictive. Either we talk about Buffy or Fight Club. We're not allowed to do either.
Yeah, we can't talk about anything.
So it's a lovely day, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, sir, you look really awful.
But yeah,
this is part of the reason why I think Buffy and Angel are the best shows, by the way, is that I don't know any other show that's kept me going this long for discussion. It's insane.
The thing that I mean, I thought I was going to get crucified for the Sanctuary review, but that was because I had Boris chatting me for 8 hours while I was editing. I love you, Boris. But the thing that I learned from the comment section is it's just a very derivative episode. There were a ton of people who completely agreed with divisive, yeah, not derivative. There were a ton of people who completely agreed with my take on it, and then there were a lot of people who, you know, made the opposite argument that it's a fan classic.
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting to me that it has exactly the same rating on IMDb as 5x5. To me, 5x5 is one of the top 5 or 10.
I think 5x5 is better. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I've said to you guys before that my biggest issue is that to me it's just not a good enough payoff to 5x5.
5x5.
I don't agree with that.
5x5 is a cry fest. It sets up something personal and intimate and beautiful, and like the way that scene is shot.
Itself off. I don't feel like it's a setup.
It's a two-parter.
It's still
it is by definition a setup.
It's still a two-parter.
It's not a two-parter.
Because it continues the story.
It, by definition, is not a two-parter any more than any other episode is.
But they still trail into each other.
That's the episode.
Very much.
But they trail into each other.
My feeling about Sanctuary is very much based on 5x5. So that's interesting if you
I
don't think of those as two-parters.
That Sanctuary is the sequel to it, but it is still standalone.
And like Ian has pointed out, they spend all this time focusing on the Angel drama, and then Faith makes her decision off screen. We should have seen that. That should not have been off screen.
I don't necessarily see the need for that.
And appropriately, Fight Club ends with us talking about Buffy.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but I love that final scene as well, and I would have loved to have talked about it.
To clarify about the whole two-parter thing, like I said, it's no more or less a two-parter than several episodes that take place where we want to see what happens next.
But it literally follows that
Faith has been neutralized, Angel has succeeded, Wesley has been freed and saved. The story has a closing, but we can move on.
But the empathy that's created for Faith at the end of 5x5
Absolutely.
to me gets sapped by switching.
It happens all the time in the show. It never ends specifically until season 7, episode whatever. You know what I mean? That you could have kept going. I'm sure you would agree that the end of season 7 isn't necessarily the end.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's got
look at the end of season 5 of Angel. Do you call that the setup?
Well, it was a cliffhanger, essentially.
What I would argue is that it is its own ending for many reasons, but it also works as a part one to what happens next.
Both shows are essentially about being in the moment, being present, and choice.
Oh,
and
that's
so
a great point from Boris. Infinity War does stand alone, but it absolutely is a part one to what's going to happen next. Let's be honest.
Does it stand alone?
Yes.
Boris,
it is a
what happens
completed film. The film ends, and we've got that's
just because the film. Well, okay.
Now we're getting so conceptual here. I love this. This is great.
I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the stream. I want to say thank you to you both for.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Fantastic choice, Jack.
What?
I'm not even being.
Yeah, actually, I
Fight
really.
Club's amazing.
We were giving you crap about picking Fight Club earlier, but I actually thought that was.
You could tell why. We just wanted to be Buffy all the time.
I couldn't. I didn't hear what you said. So no, that's cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. So one of the things we've done a couple of these, and one of the things that the responses that we started to get was, you guys always say the same thing.
Yeah.
In each stream.
What?
And so we thought, well, if we diversify, yeah, you're not wrong. If we diversify the content, we'll talk about different stuff. And here we are talking about Buffy at the end of.
Do you agree with what Boris said, by the way? Because this actually supports me. Yoko Factor is no less a part 3 by the same logic. If you agree with that, then I agree with you that it's a part 2.
I highly disagree.
But it's got nothing to do with faith. Yoko Factor's got
the
nothing
logic
to
is
do with
confused.
faith.
The logic is absolutely confused.
But it's got nothing to do with faith.
Also, it doesn't need to have something to do with faith. It's about Buffy and Angel.
It's about faith. It's about
faith. Faith's story is she went to jail. Now you've got to have the characters.
5x5 and Sanctuary are about faith, and Yoko Factor.
How can you like season 7 even a little bit if Buffy still hates Faith as of season 7? You have to. If you accept that's the case, then she can't like her and accept all these consequences in Yoko Factor. And that doesn't happen. She does not forgive Faith for what she's done, and nor should she. I wouldn't.
What were you gonna say, Jack?
The only thing I like about season 7 is Spike, anyway. So
no, what I'm getting at is that you should have a major issue with how she treats Faith in season 7 if you have a major issue with Yoko Factor and how she hasn't resolved Faith's issues.
But I just watched the Yoko Factor yesterday, and it was weird watching it specifically with the context of Sanctuary. By that I mean all the problems that I brought up with Sanctuary, and I don't think that it's actually an adequate conclusion to Sanctuary either.
By the way,
in regards to Faith, I agree, but that's design by design.
I do appreciate.
That's the thing, though. Do you want her to be like, you know what, Angel, you were right? Because I don't think that should have happened.
Well, no, she has a specific line that says, "You weren't totally off base." I tweeted it. There's a specific line that is supposed to be her eating crow for what happened in that episode. But to me, it still just doesn't fix that episode. Does it need fixing? Well, okay. So that's the actual part of the debate, not the Yoko Factor.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate, though, that we did talk quite a bit about Fight Club, and
we actually stayed relatively on point.
And we talked about like the issues it brings up in terms of identity and all that stuff. Yeah. So I'm glad. Thank you guys, because this film means a lot to me, and I'm glad we didn't just talk Buffy the entire time. So
I'm proud of us.
We did.
Also, yeah, I don't want it to be on record that I think Buffy didn't actually have any kind of reconciliation. I'm saying that it wasn't definitive. It wasn't that she said, yes, I was wrong in Sanctuary. And like I said, I stand by the fact that she shouldn't feel that way.
All right, well, we're going to watch the Sanctuary or the Yoko Factor scene once I end the stream.
The discussion too was like 75% Fight Club, so I appreciate
It was
that as well.
75% Fight Club. We did really well.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah,
may
we
actually
did.
pick Back to the
75
Future.
is better than 0.
It completely broke down towards the end there, but we did it, guys. We did it. Go team.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for hanging out.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to try and do these more regularly, and again, we're going to try and do different content. It will inevitably come back to us talking about Buffy and Angel.
It's gonna happen. It just will.
It is what it is.
Sorry, but not sorry.
So
Sorry.
I'm working on the Yoko Factor review. Hopefully have that up in the next couple of days. And we have the next round of Patreon readings coming up. And boy, are they kind of interesting and diverse.
We're going to get to work on that in the next couple of days. Ian's going to record them.
And
I'm going to edit a whole bunch of them. I'm really excited to edit one in particular, but I'm not going to spoil it.
The first one was Canto number 1 from Dante's Inferno, which was a ton of fun for me to... I've never read Dante's Inferno, so it was a ton of fun to read through and figure out and find the performance and all of that. So... but anyway, I appreciate you. Thank you for spending your time with us. And
I got next choice, right?
Yep.
Cal has next choice.
I'm thinking a Wesley hat trick, probably.
Ooh,
okay.
Yeah.
So we can talk Buffy then.
I was trying to keep this to 2 episodes or 1 movie, and Cal was like, "But that's like an hour and 20 minutes or 2 hours."
I don't know why any of us would ever pick 2 episodes instead of 2.5 hours of movie.
Yeah, and you threatened to pick the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, and I was like, okay, I guess we're doing 1 movie or 3 episodes. So anyway, good night, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Peace.